All right, guys, we are live. Welcome, everybody. This is Drake with the RPG Construct. Finally back running games again. It's been almost 2 months since I've run a game, and these brave souls have decided to chance it and see if my system crashes again. So just want everybody to introduce themselves, the characters, as well as if they have any channels or plugs. So first we're going to go with Connor, or Connor number 1, as we have 2 in this game.
Hey guys, I am Connor number 1. I am the Canadian Connor. I am half of Dice on Ice, a YouTube channel. We have our games and stuff on there. We recently launched a Kickstarter for our campaign setting of the ravaged wasteland of Kryphoth. If that sounds anything interesting to you guys that are watching this now or after the fact, you can check that out. Today, I'm going to be playing a really kind of grizzled, old, shamed Uldane Dwarf Ranger who made a terrible mistake in the front line of battle that cost many lives and went into self-exile because of it. And now, fast forward a lot of time later, he's joined up with this band of ragtag crew to do various mercenary work in the area. He's a good fighter, a good combatant, keen ears and eyes, despite his old age. And he's a very valuable asset to have on the team.
Thanks, Connor. And Connor number 2.
Hello, everyone. I am playing Mirdan, the Grimgold Dwarf Paladin. This is a character of Paradox's, and he's well aware of that. He's a paladin that works for money. He's a dwarf that kind of condemns the use of the axe or hammer with himself, and he just tries his best to get people through things whenever he can. That may or may not be difficult this time around. We'll see.
Okay, and Liz.
Hey, y'all. I'm Liz, and I'm playing Sahara Moon Eyes, who's a rogue. And she's grown up really tough on living on the streets best she can, stealing, killing, spying, stuff like that.
She sounds like a fun one to be with. All right, and finally, Jaren.
Hey guys, this is Jevin D&D from Power Up Gamers. Tonight I'll be playing Forge, a August Durin Tombheart, who was basically created to work in the mines and the forges.
Okay, guys, and also for anyone who isn't familiar, we're going to be playing in the Dragongrin setting tonight. That is a setting that was created by Tim and James Carney from Absolute Tabletop. Basically, think of it as a place where evil won. In the battle of good and evil, evil won. So it's kind of a very dark setting, one I really enjoy. I also have a campaign going called the Dragongrin Chronicles. I think we're going to be restarting soon on episode 12 or 13, something like that. So anyway, guys, without further ado, we will get started. So here we go.
It has been said that nothing can live in Jahar. That life really wouldn't be worth living if you had to live in this place. This vast desert was scorched long ago, or between the Titans and the Primordials. It is said that the blood of creation itself once covered this land, but was soon swallowed by the dunes here. In this place, blistering heat, sand, and the ever-present wind is all that will accompany you. But still, the remains of what was do appear here and there. Rutheltep is one of those places. Today, it is just a mass of crumbling stone and sand. But it wasn't always this way. It was once the center of commerce in Jahar. A population that rivaled even Grin once lived and prospered here. The king that the city was named for ruled with a benevolence that Jahar had never seen. His people loved him, and he them. It was said that he was corrupted somehow, that some spirit or demon laid claim to his soul and turned him, well, paranoid and suspicious of everyone. All trade stopped in this place. All communication outside of the city was cut off. Vaults were sealed. Now no one really knows what happened. All they know is that everyone inside the city was dead. It was weeks before the gates were forced open to reveal the horror within. Yet the king's body was never found. All that was left was his blood upon the throne, his robes torn and on the ground, and his advisor torn to shreds by what looked like some animal. This is the place that you go tonight. This is the place that you must survive. Do you have the courage to survive the shadows of Jahar?
And here the four of you stand. You stand in a kind of a nomadic village towards the coast of Jahar. This is a people that you are known to you called the Matrice. It's a tribe of Dorsai elves. Dorsai are sea elves. They generally live in the water. They're not outside of anything close to water. But this nomadic tribe has found a place here in Jahar. The four of you have worked together on many occasions and called here to find someone and hopefully to rescue. It's been explained to you by the chieftain that a group of 5 members of this tribe went into the desert 3 days ago. One returned last night, a female named Orchai, beast, and a walled city. And she spoke of that city, Ruthatep. The Dorsai cannot live without water for more than a day or two. Their body starts to shrivel, their skin cracks and peels. The only heir to this chieftain was amongst those that are missing. You have been commissioned, paid, all in advance, to Ruthatep. Find this heir and bring him home. And we join the four of you now as you're standing in front of the main chieftain's hut, surrounded by dozens of these Dorsai elves, completely covered from head to toe in kind of this beige-colored linen. They don't want any of their body exposed to the sun. And all of this has been explained to you. And he asks all of you if you have any questions. Doesn't know.
So where is this strange city?
Oh, my friend, this city is 3 or 4 days from here. But my son, he could do it in 2. He was always so great. I can give you, well, I know she does not want to go back, but I can give you a guide. Orchai will take you there. It is probably 3 days, if you are up for it.
I'm at least up for it.
My large friend, you wear this metal in the desert. Don't the sand and the sun bother you? This is not advisable.
I will do what I must to get through.
I believe that my son may need you in fighting shape to save him. I trust your judgment, but be careful wearing things like that in the desert. It may prove your undoing. And he looks over at you, Connor, number one. You, Uldane, I've known many of your kind. Do you think you can save him?
If I say so myself. Yeah. I've done this kind of thing before. More than I
But
can
have you
count on my
done it?
fingers.
But have you done it in the sands of Jahar?
The sands of
Not in the
Jahar,
mountains.
the stormy, bleak scape of Uldane. They're all the same.
And he looks at you and he notices the gray patches of stone-colored skin on your arms, realizing that you're an Uldane of age and probably of wisdom. And he just kind of takes a long breath and nods. And what about you, Jaren? What would Forge be doing? I mean, obviously he's a expressionless Tomeheart, but would he say anything to him?
I think Forge would just kind of tilt his head as he's talking into Murtag about the medal, and kind of look down, goes, well, I don't have a choice. But if your son could do it in 2, I bet I could do it in 1.
Yes. Many have said such things. And most of them do not return. But I do hope that you are right. I do hope that all of you are as good as they say you are. And he kind of motions his arm over to the female. She's got her arm sort of bandaged up. You can see it. It's not blood as if you know it, but it's kind of this green kind of oozing out of her left arm. She's obviously has some type of a gash or something. And she says, we will go as soon as you are ready. It is directly to the east. We must make a stop along the way. I cannot go the whole way without finding water. You need to just trust me. But I do not believe that any of you will make it out alive. And she just kind of turns and she walks just a few steps away, and then just turns and looks back at you guys as if waiting for you or waiting for you to say something. You're more than welcome to ask her any questions that you want.
I think that Brutag would say kind of under his breath, almost like mumbling in that kind of old man kind of mumbly way. After she says, I doubt that any of you will come out alive, he'll kind of mumble to himself, good riddance.
I don't think she would even give you a look. She wouldn't reply at all. She knows what she saw. What about the rest of you? Connor number 2.
Mirdan would look at her and say, give me 10 minutes. I have to find my camel.
You brought the camel with you?
No. It's complicated. Mirdan would go off to try and summon his camel.
A camel to that? I don't believe I've ever seen one that large.
Oh, you will see it.
I will see it. Oh, he just kind of looks at you, just, okay. Whatever you say. Now, would you guys have any questions for Orchai, or would you just follow her, or what would you want to do?
Well, Sahara would say, "This is very sandy place, no? I've grown up among the sands for all my life. And I believe that such a trivial thing as venturing far into the desert would not be so hard."
In most places, you are right. But there are many things in Jahar that many things can hurt you here. It is not the sand. It is not the sun. It is the things that dwell within. That is what you must be careful of. And with that, she just turns and begins to walk. She only walks to the edge of this kind of makeshift. Yeah, it's like I said, it's like a kind of like a nomadic village. These guys pick up every few days or every few weeks, and they move to a different place. So it's just very simple huts, skins. You do notice that some of them look to be made of like some like chitin from like larger like insects over the roof. Anything really that they can scavenge from the desert here is what they've used. And you notice that that your guide has a bone dagger at her hip, obviously forged from some type of an animal bone, probably 1.5 times what you would normally consider a dagger, but it's just that's how it's sitting. Like I said, she is draped in this kind of beige linen from head to toe. She has her head wrapped where all you can see is her eyes. And she stands at the end, at the eastern corner of this village, waiting for all of you. Would you guys be saying anything to each other?
So do we have everything ready?
5 more minutes.
I've got everything I need. And he'll kind of start, kind of almost saying it with a pseudo limp, using the axe hilts that he has as kind of a walking stick. Kind of just use it to hobble along in his old legs carry him.
Fudge would just look down at his pick and his hammer limbs and kind of just tilts his head to Sahara and says, "When do I not have what I need? They're built into me."
Right you are, my friend. True.
So would you guys now, okay, Connor, number 2, what the hell are you doing? You're getting your camel. Tell me what you're really doing.
Well, I'm casting Find Steed to summon my camel.
You're casting Find Steed to summon a camel large enough to carry an 8.5 foot tall Grimdall dwarf. Okay. Tell me this, on this spell, is there a chance of failure? Or is it a guarantee? Okay.
It doesn't say that there's a chance.
Do this for me, Connor. Roll me a d6.
All right. That's a 1.
Okay. You cast Find Steed, and you hear, after a few moments, you hear kind of a snorting and shuffling. And behind one of the huts, about 20 feet away from you, the largest goat you have ever seen comes out behind and starts to nuzzle your chest with his horns. You have found your steed, the largest goat in Dragongrin. And you are able to ride him. I'm going to give you that.
Cool.
On one condition.
Okay.
You have 10 seconds to come up with a name, or I name him.
His name is Glepnir.
Glepnir?
Yes.
Okay. So you and your trusty goat steed are now there. Are the other 3 of you going to be going to the end with your guide, or are you going to be staying with the stinky goat? Because yes, the goat smells terrible.
Yeah, I'm going with the guide.
Okay. Connor, number 1.
I feel like even in his kind of like pseudo limping short stature, he'd be somehow keeping up with the guide. Just in some way, he's just shuffling in a certain way to stay speedy.
Okay.
So yeah.
So and Connor, number 2, would you actually mount your goat, or would you just walk in for now? That sounded terrible.
I would like to walk my goat and offer him as a mount to the leading us into the desert.
I'm sorry, you would like to offer him to what?
I would like to offer him as a mount to the Dorsai woman that is leading us through the desert.
Okay. She looks at you and she says, "We don't ride them. We eat them. Thank you, but I do not think so. You may need it more than I with that armor on." And she would turn and start walking. And as you guys go, Connor, number 2, you realize very quickly that your current gear is not fit for the desert at all. And what armor are you wearing exactly? I know it's heavy armor, but
it is mithril chainmail.
Okay. Because it is mithril, I'm gonna say that every full day that you ride in the desert with this on, you take 1 level of exhaustion. You can recover if you can find some water between those 2 days. Okay? But you have to fully submerge yourself and take everything off. Okay? If that makes sense. But for now, you're fine. Your guide hums a little tune as she walks. All of you find the sand to be very difficult beneath your feet. If you've ever walked on the beach, you know how tired you get. She seems to be so light that she doesn't even sink in, almost like she's walking on the surface just a little bit. Forge, you especially really find the sand to be difficult. It gets into places that tome hearts do not speak about, if you catch my drift. And and as well, Liz, your rogue as well will probably be just fine on this, as a light on her feet. The pads when she steps of her feet kind of spread out, and it's got like a snowshoe, just kind of getting you through. And after several hours, Orchai looks back and she looks at you guys and she looks up at the sun. She said, "Our first stop is 4 or 5 more hours away. Can the 4 of you make it? How are all of you doing? Is the sun too much?"
As long as we don't stop too often, these old bones of mine can keep on going forever, he'd say, kind of noting the, referring to the Aldane, kind of sturdiness and, how not tired they would get. They can march on for days at a time without rest.
Okay.
Little bit of perspiration never hurt anyone. I am fine to keep going.
Okay. Forge, I know what you're going to be, but Liz, you still doing okay? Do you think after, say, 5 hours walking in the desert that she would be doing okay? That's kind of what I want from you guys.
I think she'd be doing just fine.
Okay.
Maybe just keeping the silence and just kind of concentrating on the sand and making sure that,
Okay.
Everything's in place so that there's nothing coming up from underneath or whatever.
Okay. And one thing to keep in mind, guys, the people have told you that there are stops along the way, but that pretty much all the water that you can carry in your water skins will be consumed every day. You will need to find a place to refill it in order to, with the exception of the Pally, everyone else would be okay as long as they just kept drinking, as long as it was fine. And the journey really doesn't go, you really don't run into anything. But probably 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, in the distance, Connor number 1, you see what look to be palm trees and green in this normal brown sandies. And you're the first one to notice as you come over this dune. Would you say anything, or would you just keep going?
Oh, absolutely. Brutek has walked, the dunes of this desert for a bit. This is kind of one of his preferred areas now in his self-exile. And he, as a ranger, has taken desert as one of his favorite terrains. So he's very adept in moving around in these dunes and, and stuff like that, and getting water. And he'd immediately noticed the green, as you crest over as we crest over one of these sand dunes. And he kind of pointed out, saying, there's this green down there, water for sure.
Okay.
And kind of maybe even would close one eye or the other one to maybe move his head back and forth to make sure it's not a mirage or something.
And Connor, you would know that that's just from it being your favorite terrain. You would know that this is probably about an hour to an hour and a half away in the sand. Probably a solid 3 miles, but it's a downhill walk though. Seeing that now, Connor may be familiar with this stuff, but what about the other 3? Would you guys, seeing that this some type of an oasis looking thing was ahead, how would you react, Connor number 2? Would you say anything, or would you just make a beeline for it?
I wouldn't say a beeline, but he'd probably smile and in his mind think, this has been a long day.
Yeah. I mean, by this point, you're baking. You really are. You're basically cooking. And let's see me 1 second. I gotta say goodnight to my kid. You don't need to. Bye. Sorry, kiddo. But yeah, you are feeling it. I know that. I would think that as a dwarf, and especially as a Grimdall dwarf, you're not going to show how much it's bothering you. But there are sand in places that for everybody where there should never be sand. Things are chafing. Things are hot. With the exception of the tech savvy, I'd say most of you are probably extremely uncomfortable right now. What about you, Forge? What would you be? I mean, you don't need to eat or drink, so none of this probably bothers you. But would you have anything to say or any comments to your comrades here?
Forge would just kind of look at his companions and say, hey, well, even though I don't need to drink, it would be nice to get rid of some of the sand. It tends to cake my joints.
Okay. And she just, like I said, the guide really has this steady pace. It's not too fast. It's not too slow. She kind of makes it a point to not speak unless spoken to. And you guys get closer to this seeming oasis. As you come upon the edge of the green, Connor, you notice this large pool of water, crystal clear blue water, surrounded by palm trees and bushes. You can hear the birds chirping. You can see that the water seems to be flowing, but you don't see a beginning or an end. But this is probably 300 or 400 yards around. It's a rather large oasis, to the point where some of the trees, palm trees, are almost so dense that you can't even see much more than probably about 100 yards in. And you cannot see the bottom of this pool. There are tons of little like lily pads and like water plants in there. It just looks like a lovely place to stop. And your guide looks at all of you and says, here, stop, drink. This is where we will camp tonight. Just keep an eye out. As I said, there are many things in the desert that want to kill you.
Yeah, we'll still want to keep our guards up. We're probably not the only things in the desert here that would like to see some water. Keep an eye and an ear
And
open at all
also,
times.
and also, Connor, you're going to notice that there are footprints of every kind of creature you can imagine all around here, especially as you get closer to the water. This is obviously one of the only places to drink for miles and miles. So you would notice this, and hopefully tell your friends. Liz,
yeah.
Liz, what would you do? Getting to this oasis, getting kind of a bit of a respite from the heat of the desert. These trees are offering shade. Would you do anything in particular, or just hang out with everybody?
Probably kind of watch as everybody else goes first, and then very cautiously kind of gets a drink and water herself, because mostly she's just, from her years of being on the streets, is very cautious and wary of just anything in the area.
So would she actually just dip a paw in like a cat does with a faucet, or would
Yeah,
she
pretty
she
much.
put like a water skin in there to fill
Yeah,
up?
probably first do like the cat paw just to get a basic drink, and then fill up the water skin.
Okay. And Connor, number 2, coming to this water, what would you be doing?
It's time to make everyone uncomfortable. So
describe it in detail how you're going to make everyone uncomfortable.
Mirrodin would hop off of his goat, taking off all of his armor. He'd to run towards it and to leap in. He'd take off just to feel against his skin.
Okay, so I might have missed it. It was a little choppy for me. So are you butt naked, or are you gonna have like a loincloth on? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, buddy. Can anyone else hear him? Because I can't.
I didn't hear him, but I saw him mouth the words "butt naked." So.
Oh, okay.
Is
Yeah.
the mic not working?
No, now it is. Okay, so this 8.5 foot tall, probably 5 foot wide mountain of a dwarf strips butt naked and makes a beeline for the water to jump in to completely submerge himself. I need a dexterity check, please.
I'm not dexterous at all. No.
What'd you get?
Grand total is 0.
So you rolled a 1? Or you
-1 and have a -1.
So, okay. I need you to describe to me what this looks like when this mountain of a man not only doesn't make it into the water, but hurts himself in the process. Describe this to me. Describe this to all of us. Because I can, but I want to hear what you think he did.
So, I see it gets off of the goat. I imagine that his face isn't like on purpose. As he's running, the roots of the palm trees are probably just reaching out and snatching this off of him. Him trip and tumble all over himself, and he lands just short of the water.
Okay. I'm not gonna have him take any damage, but he's gonna be uncomfortable having just kind of slid in the sand. Little bit of chafing there. But I will allow you to get back up and maybe slowly make your way into the water now. And
that's probably a much better decision than what I did.
And it actually stings a little bit. Those scrapes, with this water, the first time I hit it, kind of hurts. But you notice that very quickly the ground drops off till it's far over your head. But the water is cool. You see your guide as you're swimming about, enjoying the cool, and it will only take a few minutes to kind of cool down and get that level of that exhaustion not be a possibility anymore. She's looking around. She's back and forth. She's not really paying attention to you at all. But after a few moments, you feel something brush against your leg, Connor. Would you say anything, or would you just think that you just maybe stepped on a weed or something like that? But you're treading water. You can't feel the bottom, and you could have sworn something just brushed against your leg.
Mirren will probably instantly yell out for the guide. Don't brush me, is that the bad?
You see her stand up very, very quickly, and she looks at you, and she kind of narrows her eyes towards the water. And then as you see, like almost like a light bulb comes off in her head, and you hear her eyes go wide. She says, "Get out of there now!" And obviously the other three of you see this now, but he's probably a good 25 feet, 30 feet away from the bank. So what would the other three of you do? Connor, number one, what would you do as you heard that?
He kind of like, as he's approaching the water, he's like scanning, the edges of the water for any like rocky things that might be, animals and stuff in hiding. And immediately he yells out, and like the guides, in kind of panic, he kind of just says, "Oh, he didn't check for gators," and he immediately, pulls away from the water, kind of gets in the battle ready stance just to see what's going on. He has his crossbow ready. He's kind of like still leaning on the shaft of his axe as kind of a walking stick.
Okay. And Liz?
She would probably also get into a battle stance a little bit. Not kind of more on the edge of the water, and be like, okay, whatever it is, bring it to me so I can kill it.
Okay. So Connor, number one, you're how far away from the water's edge?
He would have been pretty cautious approaching it at first. He's very much aware that like a lot of predators would be here. So he'd be maybe at the even at the tree line, maybe so about 15 feet away.
15 feet. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. And Liz, you're right on the water line, correct?
Yeah, just about.
Okay. Your guide's probably about 10 feet back, just screaming. And Jaren?
I would imagine Fudge would have been maybe 5 feet from the water because he was heading down to kind of red a bag and get sand out. But hearing the screaming and the guy telling him to get it out, Fudge just kind of shakes his head. Pup's always causing trouble. Guess it's time for me to go rescue him. And he just starts headed straight for the water.
Okay. And I'm going to say that you can get probably halfway to him, Jaren. But see, tome hearts don't float. Tome hearts don't swim. Tome hearts sink. So as you don't need to breathe air, you can just walk on the bottom, buddy. But the one thing that you will notice, as you go down there, you're about halfway there, you can see him treading. And kind of off to the right side, you see a large shadow begin to come closer. And when this happens, Connor, number two, just clamp down on your leg and yank you under the water. And just put it in chat, please.
I didn't hear the last part of that after I was sucked under the water.
Roll for initiative. Oh, that was terrible. All right. Wow, you did worse than me. Liz, I need your initiative, please. Liz, you there? Okay, there we go. Okay, so Liz, you can actually go first here. All you saw was your large Grimdall dwarf, your naked large Grimdall dwarf friend, get pulled underwater, kind of with a yelp, and you heard the guide gasp. You can't see anything; everything is under the water. But with that, what would you like to do?
At this point, she would probably forget the bow and pull out something with which would be easier to fight stuff underwater with, like maybe your rapier. Because I don't know if you could shoot bows underwater.
I'm going to say no for this one. Okay, so now as a cat, would you get in the water? Or would that be a no-no?
I'm the kind of crazy cat that loves the water.
Oh, you're one of those weird ones. All right, all right. So would you dive in? Would you dive in to try to help your friend?
Yep.
Okay. As you do, again, you actually don't sink. You can actually dive in and kind of swim. You do see your friend probably 3 or 4 feet from the surface, and attached to his leg is the largest crocodile you have ever seen, probably measuring over 20 feet. He's making this huge dwarf look small in comparison. You can't, because you're swimming, you can't get to him this round, but you are on your way. Jaren. Probably about 10 feet away. You can see her now. What do you want to do?
Well, seeing this crocodile biting his companion, it definitely does not please Forge. So he's going to go into his berserker rage, and charge at the gator and swing his war pit.
Okay. Now, how is that going to affect it being underwater, Jaren?
I would imagine it would probably slow it down some, but it's very much kind of part of his body, so I would imagine because of his strength, it would still connect. But maybe we do something.
Well,
like
let's roll to hit, Jaren.
That will be a 19.
Okay, that hits. Roll me some damage and tell me where it hits and what it looks like.
That will be 1d8. For a whopping 11 damage.
Okay.
So I imagine, and I'm aiming towards the jaw, trying to get him to release my friend. So I imagine I actually connect right below the eye.
I think could do that this time, but you're probably in about 30 feet and back down. We hear after Jaren was
my second attack, because I get an extra attack.
Okay.
Attack is a 12 to hit.
No, that does not hit.
Okay, so I imagine this one would have been with the other arm that is the blacksmith hammer, and that I actually hit my own arm and kind of knock it away with the bow pick.
Okay. All right. So Connor, you are seeing this too. You've seen in the water and sink. You've seen your rogue friend jump in.
Yeah, and as he's kind of got this a crossbow, hoisted up, he kind of looks down at his waist and sees the bright glow of his dagger on his hip. And he kind of shakes his head. Damn it, I got surprised again. This damn bauble's useless. Referring to his weapon of warning that he totally ignored and forgot about in his old age and forgetfulness. And so he's gonna. Is this crocodile at all above water? Like, is it, or is it completely submerged?
He's probably 6 or 7 feet down at the tip, and he's going all the way down to the bottom near Jaren. And said Connor number 2 is probably 3 or 4 feet from the surface.
Yeah, so I think that he would try to rummage through his bag and get a strand of rope.
Okay, you have that with your pack, yeah.
Yeah, and I'd try to maybe tie a rock around the one end and lob it as kind of something for the flailing naked dwarf to latch onto, maybe to help give some leverage out.
Okay, let's do this. Connor number 2, give me a strength check. Give me an athletics or an acrobatics check. And Connor number 1, give me a dexterity.
I got my 20 on a dex.
Okay, so nothing but net. This thing basically, the rock hits him in the head. It falls in his hands, but does he grab it? Connor number 2.
I got 10.
That's all you need to roll. So you fumble it, but you hold on to it. So you are now holding this rope that that he threw. So Connor number 1, that's going to be your turn, if that's okay, just to do that. And then Connor number 2, he is latched onto your leg, biting. You take 3 piercing damage to your leg as he just chomps down on it. What would you like to do for your turn?
So pulling myself forward towards the shore, do my action.
You could probably get more, but if you wanted, as you're pulling, because I'm sure Connor's pulling you too, once you realize that you have it, you'd probably use one hand to do something if you wanted to try to do something that's on you. But you don't have any weapons and you're naked.
I'm a Grimdell dwarf. We can use our fists.
You can. It's one of my favorite traits of them, actually.
I'm going to try to punch it in the face.
Only in Dragongrin. Only in Dragongrin.
13 to hit.
That barely hits, but it does hit.
And that is...
What was that?
5 damage.
Okay. 1 second here. Okay, 5 damage. So, you don't really hurt the thing. You just you feel this kind of tough, leathery armor, basically. But all he's going to do is, like I said, he's just going to kind of reposition and just keep trying to pull you under. But your size and strength, he doesn't take you down any deeper than he is. So next, we're going to go all the way around. We're going to go back up to Liz. Liz, you are in the water swimming with your rapier out. You can get the creature in this round.
Okay, so I'm probably gonna swim down and try to stab it somewhere soft.
Yeah.
Breaking up a little bit.
The only soft place you're aware of. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. The only soft place you're aware of is the inside of a crocodile's mouth.
Where the leg happens to be. Luckily, it's a finesse weapon. Maybe if I roll lucky, I can get it in the gums. I don't know.
Go for it. Where you can swim, so you're on top of the water now. So you can try to go down a little bit and try to stab this thing in the mouth. But it's up to you. You can hit it either way.
Don't worry
Okay.
about me. I'm good.
So
For now.
I will stab it with my rapier.
Okay.
Any disadvantage for being underwater or no?
Yeah, we're not gonna. Normally, yes, but I'm having too much fun with it, so no. This thing will eat you.
All right, that's 13.
That barely hits, but it does hit.
All right,
Roll me some
then
damage.
It's a D8 plus 4. That's 8 plus 4, 12.
Awesome. Okay. Okay. We're going back around to who had that 17? Jaren. You have now sunk back to the bottom. This thing's tail is now in front of you, just kind of wiggling around your face. What would you like to do?
Okay. First off, I have put a question for you in the chat.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did.
It's different for Tome Hearts, Jaren. Even though you're made of metal, your skin is your armor. So for purposes of AC, maybe we could do that. But you're a barbarian, so that really wouldn't work out.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm wondering because I have a feature called fast movement that allows my movement to go up to 40 feet if I'm not heavily armored, but I'm made of metal, so.
barbarian that you're not heavily armored team.
Okay. So I imagine knowing and that my friends in trouble being chomped on. If you'll allow it, I would like to try to stuff of my blacksmith hammer of the crocodile and kind of do like a string to pry the jaw open.
You want to try to pry the jaw open and do a strength contest with the giant crocodile.
Yep.
You know what? I'm gonna let you do
not?
that, Jaren. Roll for it.
Awesome. And because I'm in the rage, I get advantage on strength checks.
Well, you got to beat a 25, buddy. Just saying.
I did good, but I don't think it's that good.
Okay.
Unless I apply athletics.
No, this was straight up strength. This was straight up strength. So
Dang. Only a 23.
That's terrible when you roll a 23 and you still lose. So what I would imagine this happen is you kind of crawl up this thing from the bottom. You actually go like hand over hand. You're climbing this thing like a ladder till you get to the front of it, and it's clamped on the Pally's leg, and you like put your arm in and just kind of, get it like halfway, and then as soon as you get it halfway, something happens with the croc, and it just slams its jaw shut, and your arm is stuck in there now with his leg. So he now has a hold of both of you. We're going to go next to who had 11? Connor, number 1.
Right before he goes, although it won't go in effect this round, I'm going to frenzy with my rage.
Okay. Yeah, with his hand, I mean, unless you want to, with that, I will allow you to do another strength check and see if you could get out in that kind of as your second. But or do you want to wait?
I'm gonna wait.
Okay. All right. So Connor, number 1.
Yeah, so I felt the tug of the Grimdal dwarf as he kind of pulling on this rope a bit. I'm gonna like plant my feet into the ground a bit, kind of digging them into the sand, kind of locking my knees and stuff. I'm just gonna hoist him. I'm acting as the anchor here to try and pull this massive Goliath of a man out of the water. I'm just trying to undo
right.
the work the crocodile's doing.
So in order to get him where he can stand, you're probably looking at pulling him about 15 feet. I'm going to do this. Roll me a d20 with advantage, and the highest number that you get is the amount of feet that you can pull him.
13.
Okay, so you get him almost to the point where Connor, you can almost you can just barely touch it with your tippy toes, but you know that it's close. Now with your turn, let's see. I think you're the next one, right? Yeah, you're the next one. You can choose to try to pull on that rope to take yourself even further, but remember you're kind of pulling a thing with you in the water. But what would you like to do, being so close to shore now? You basically have Jaren, the crocodile, a soaking wet cat trying to stab it, and you're holding onto a rope trying to live.
Wouldn't it be the crocodile's turn?
No, he's going to go after you. There's a reason.
Okay. I'm going to pull myself closer to land then.
Okay. Then with you, though, give me a d20 with disadvantage. And whatever the lowest one is the number of feet that you can pull yourself up.
They both rolled 10.
Okay. So you can get out to the point where you can stand up. You're probably in waist deep water, but you can now see the head of this crocodile and maybe a third of its body. You can see Liz. So, and you can also see that the guide has actually gotten on the rope with you, Connor, and she is pulling too, and she has pulled out that bone dagger. And as soon as is there anything else that you would like to do besides just try to get out? Would you try to do anything else there, Connor number 2, besides getting to shore?
Maybe try to get out of the crocodile's jaws.
Okay. You want to do opposing strength?
Yeah, why not?
All right, let's do that. Get a beat of 15.
That. I got a 22.
I didn't hear it.
22.
You got a 2.
22.
Put it in chat, man. I'm sorry. Okay, 20. Oh, good. Okay, so describe what this looks like then, man. As you pry this thing jaws open and pull your leg free. Now, Jaren, I'm going to say that you can pull your arm out too, but Connor number 2, what does this look like when you do that?
So to reach down on either side of the crocodile's jaws, and he's just straining himself so much that veins seem to be popping out as he pulls the teeth and the jaws off of his leg, and you just see blood starting to just pour from it. He pulls his leg away as he...
Okay. And just imagine Jaren kind of rolls off to the side and you pull your leg clear, you're a few feet away. The guide with her bone dagger out leaps higher than any of you thought anybody could jump and actually lands on the back of the head of this creature. And she takes that dagger and she just drives it into the back of his head, and all of you hear like a and the reptile goes limp as the blood just starts kind of bubbling from its head. And she looks at all of you, looks around, makes eye contact with every single one of you and says, "I told you. This place is very dangerous. You did not listen. Look before you leap. Didn't anyone teach you this? Big, dumb dwarf. You were lucky we were all here." And she just looks at you with just this disdain and disgust. "Now get out of the water. Get dressed. We have to rest for tomorrow. And she just cleans off her dagger on her linen, leaving kind of this red streak here, and turns and walks about 50 feet away and just sits there Indian style staring at you guys. You're out of combat. What would you guys like to do?
I'm a shake. I'm going to get all the water off me. You know, do the whole brrr, and then the shaking of the back feet and the shaking of the front feet and just, you know, the whole cat wet 9 yards.
All right, Connor, number one.
Looks like gators on the menu. And he kind of would maybe, you know, pulling it with his axe, kind of like standing at the edge of the water, kind of like maybe trying to hook it into the leg of the crocodile that's floating in the water, and kind of just pull it out to shore it. Like, how big is this crocodile from like head to toe or head to tail?
20 feet.
Awesome.
It's a big one. It's a big guy.
So like, and pulling it kind of into the water, and immediately when it hits the ground, it kind of like stops moving because it's so damn heavy.
Right.
I would kind of look to the tome heart, the forge, and I say, "Hey, metal man, want to give me help here?" As I'm kind of just trying to pull it out onto the sand.
This thing probably weighs 4,000 pounds, so you can probably get half of it out, but you're not getting the whole thing, dude.
Yeah, and then so like as I get enough out of it, you know, maybe I start, you know, butchering maybe the legs and the side of the chest where I can get at it. There's basically kind of collecting any kind of meat I can just to stick on a fire to feed us.
Sure, you can absolutely cut it up. If you even wanted to skin it a little bit, get some pieces of that, you could certainly do that. You have the time. And now Connor, number two, your leg is bleeding. You have several puncture wounds. You're still naked. What would you be doing?
Mirrodin would kind of ashamedly come out of the water, yelled at. He'd and his pants and all of his other apparel pants on. He used his lay on hands to kind of close the wounds and heal himself before it has a chance to get infected.
Okay. And Jaren, I imagine as you come out that water is just kind of pouring from the openings in your skin as it's filled your body when you were in the water.
Yeah, Fudge wouldn't pay much attention other than the relief of the sand no longer being in his joints. And he would look over to Connor and Durf, and Durf's always needing help, but I'm made for the mines and the forge, not the cook's shop. And he would actually start walking over towards the guide.
Okay. So by this time, I would think that Liz, you were poofy as you did your little, you know, shaking all the water off. I'm imagining it's like a bad hair day from head to toe for you. You've just poofed up everywhere. Would you go over and sit with the guide, or would you stick around with the Connors here?
I'd be like, well, let him be the cook if he thinks he's so fancy. And I'm just going to go over and sit by the guide.
Okay. So Connor, I'm Connor number one. I imagine you have some big old like crocodile steaks there for everybody. And as night falls and the fire gets built, you're sitting around that kind of traditional campfire scene. You can hear the bugs and the birds still making noise and the sounds of the oasis. But you don't hear anything in the water. It's completely silent. The guide, Orcha, looks at you, Connor number one, and she says, This is very good meat. You obviously know your way around the desert. Why did you not warn your friend? Why did you not tell him to check the water first? You know better than this. How did a ranger in the desert come to be here
How's a man gonna stop a 8-foot tall lumbering dwarf from charging in a pile of water once he starts? Came bellowing out of nowhere. Didn't have the chance to tell him to stop.
But you know better than this.
Yeah, that's why I was over on the edge. Kind of pointing to where he stood.
No better.
I mean, I like to
Than
say
this.
that my mind wasn't somewhere else, but kind of like he's trying to like play it off like he's
Of the city, she's my number one.
Sorry, you went super robot-y there. I didn't
Number
catch
two,
what
she
you said.
says you. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I don't know what's going on. Sorry. What's the last thing that you heard, buddy?
I heard, why didn't you know any better?
Yes, basically, that you are a ranger of the desert. You should have known that. You should have warned them. You should have been basically the guide like she is. And she's just trying to figure out how you got here, basically.
Yeah, and so he kind of replied, like, it's hard to tell, a charging 8-foot dwarf to, to stop moving, right? Like it's hard to tell him to stop when he's already, built up that kind of momentum. He kind of maybe would chime in maybe a little bit of subtle dwarf racism of like, those Grimdol dwarfs. They're they're harder to listen to. Oh, sorry, they don't listen as well. Sorry, harder to teach than typical old Danes.
Okay. And then Connor number two, she looks at you. She says, "Oh, Connor, are you back, by the way? I see two of you."
I am back, yes.
Okay. And she looks at you and she says, "It is rare to see a paladin in these parts. To what god do you pay homage?"
It's a long story.
We have time.
I don't pay homage to a god from around here. I pay homage to a god of the mountains, of protection.
So why are you? Can you guys hear me now? No, you can't hear me?
Only the best D&D parties have their DM drop.
Yeah, it's not a D&D game, on the internet. If there isn't technical difficulties at some point in the game, that's like the Murphy's. What do you call it? Murphy's
Can you guys
Law
hear me
of
now?
games.
Yeah,
Yes.
much better.
Good. Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. I don't know what the frig happened. I guess issues are the same. So anyway. What's last thing that you guys heard me say when I didn't sound like a...
It's still doing it, right?
No?
Yeah, you're super choppy and roboty. To answer your question, though, with the last thing that we heard was kind of number 2 saying...
Hear me now?
Yes.
Think it's a video.
It just might, yeah, it might be his video. Just too much going through for his bandwidth or something.
Gosh, thank goodness for supercomputers.
Saying what? Okay.
How's it working?
You know, guys, while I figure out, since we take a quick 5, are you guys hearing me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't, let's just take 5 minutes and let me see if I can figure out these tech issues, okay?
Awesome.
5, all right.
All right.
I'm gonna reboot and...
Do what you gotta.
Well, I'm back. If anyone else is.
Yeah, I didn't leave. I just sitting around.
Yeah, I was just looking up videos on how to do stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, it's unusual for this kind of tech issues with Drake.
Yeah. I was having to use a little bit of problem puzzle solving to figure out what he was saying at times.
Yeah.
And I felt like there was in the interaction between me and him, or in the guide, was like I couldn't understand the thing he was saying, and I was trying to talk, and then all of a sudden his voice feed would come through like this big blurb, after a long silence, and I'm like I'm interrupting him, and or he's interrupting me. I have no idea what's going on because our voices are so disaligned there.
It was a little bit with the other Connor as well. Oh,
yeah.
Hey guys, sorry about that.
No worries. That happened to me
you guys hear me?
when I was DMing.
Yeah, it's been going in and out.
The problem is, my computer is literally 6 times more than the last one that I had. Everything's new. The only thing I didn't upgrade was the internet. So if the bandwidth or something, it's 8:30 at night here. If it's a bottleneck, it's going to do that. So what I'm going to have to do is start trying to plan games around non-peak times. I will actually be moving into a different place in the beginning of January. Still 2 stores down, so I'll be able to get new internet. So yeah, I'm going to keep trying to go here. But if we have another huge malfunction, I'm just going to call it, because nobody wants to deal with that crap.
Yeah.
It's just annoying. Yeah.
One of the things we did was we upped our internet plan to where we originally were on DSL from the house to our internet provider, and we upped it to broadband all the way. And
no, we're
a lot.
Dude, I'm supposed to be like, of everything that they offer broadband, I'm supposed to be like top 20%. Of the 5 plans, I got the second from the top.
Oh, yeah, you should be fine then.
Yeah, I think it just might be the night, or maybe I have something that I'm not doing right. But it's certainly not my system. I know that.
It definitely seems to be a lot better when you have your camera off.
Okay. I can certainly keep it off. That's fine. Yeah. So, Liz, are you back?
Yep. I've just been chilling.
Good. Sorry about that, guys. Usually I wouldn't take a breath. But basically, the guide was just trying to find out a little bit about you guys. So, Connor number 1, she's just asking about that. Connor number 2, she's asking about a paladin. That kind of thing. And I think then she would probably look at Forge, and she would say, I have never seen one like you. You are a Tomheart, right?
Forge is kind of a nod, and if he had emotions, you could swear he would be chuckling. And he said, yes, and I have never seen one like you that could move that way. And almost innocently, he'd be, how did you do that? Just almost the sense of awe.
This is something that most in my tribe can do. We are survivors. No matter where we live, we can always hunt, find food. We've normally don't have any trouble. But not everything is as it seems. And with that, she stood up and she actually walks over to the edge of the water. She unwraps her parts of her body and begins to scoop the water up with her hand and just put it over her skin. She's probably only about 15 feet from you guys, but she's just basically moisturizing, if you catch my drift. She needs to do that. Her skin, like I said, over time they get cracked, and it's just like a fish out of water. Same deal. And after just a minute, she would actually look at you, Liz. Said, you too. You are very rare in these parts. I have heard stories, but I have never seen one that wants to jump in the water. You must be special? And she says it with a kind of a question. Where do you hail from? What has brought you here?
She thinks a moment. She says, the cities mostly.
And what did you do in those cities?
And she just kind of shrugs and goes, like you do here, survive.
It is very different to survive in a city. Not many of these, and she motions towards the crocodile with, chunks of steaks kind of cut out of the side of it. Not many of these in the city, is there?
She shrugs and she's like, any huntable quarry can be dealt with.
This is true. Very true. But all of you have proven yourselves brave. And I must tell you what I saw in Ruthatep, if you'd care to hear.
I will take to give.
Yep, nodding.
This city was the center of Jahar. Now all that is left is just crumbling ruins and sand. We have visited this place many times, and often we found supplies. But this time we found the gate to be sealed. We found torches lit on the front. I stayed behind while my brother and his friends went forward. I am not sure what happened, but I do know that by the time I got there, they were all gone. And all I remember seeing before I woke up was the head of a lion looking down upon me. I do not know what it was. I do not know where they are. But they are most likely dead. I am not sure why he sent you with me. I could get through far easier on my own. But I will show you the way. I'm just not sure that all of you will make it. If we press hard tomorrow, we can get there by dusk tomorrow night. I would advise to rest. Try to dream well, for it may be your last night in this land. Tomorrow, you may dine with the gods. And with that, she just kind of wraps herself back up in her linens, puts her hands behind her head, and just kind of leans back and closes her eyes. What would the four of you be? Would you say anything to each other?
Well, I would assume my companions would be used to going ahead and sleeping, knowing that Fudge doesn't require sleep, so he tends to sit watch the whole night.
Okay.
And likewise with Brutag as what do you call him? An Uldane dwarf. He also doesn't need very much rest at all. I feel like for the night he would be spending it mostly kind of wandering, tending to the fire, refilling water skins, kind of like these menial, kind of like random tasks that need to be done, kind of no one else is doing them because they're all asleep. You know, those lazy people.
Right.
And kind of just like kind of maybe muttering and grumbling the whole time as he, in his old age, kind of those lazy whippersnappers and walking back and forth and making sure that everything's all nice and tidy and took after in the morning, like sharpening blades and kind of rinsing out his cap that's all sweaty from the walk and rinsing off his clothes and letting it all dry, turning over the logs in the fire, putting it out after a certain point and keeping it tended and, kind of hoisting the crocodile out of the water a little bit more, maybe not to have it bleed out and taint the whole water supply. Various, this whole checklist of things to do that he's, while also keeping an eye out, an ear out for, kind of any noise or any kind of disturbances. He's kind of glancing up and down a bit at the dagger on his hip, that he always keeps that he never notices is telling him of danger. Mm-hmm. He's been burnt by that too many times.
Gotcha. Yes, and if it's imminent danger to you, I think that would be. But if it's like earlier with the crocodile, it was a little bit too far away for that to happen. But if you swam with him, you would have known. But who wants to swim with a naked Grimdall dwarf? I mean, really. So, with that, all of you get a full night's rest, a full long rest.
Yep, definitely like more of a lighter kind of what's called a cat nap, which is more of a lighter kind of sleep where, you don't actually dream. You're actually kind of slightly awake.
Right. So like I said, all of you, and you find that your dreams, the parts that you remember are pleasant. They're happy, people that you've known, happy moments in your life. And as dawn breaks, You begin to hear those sounds of the birds and the insects of the oasis. You find that all of your water skins have been filled. As you said, the weapons have been sharpened. And just a few moments after dawn, your guide stands up and says, if we leave now, we will get there by dusk. Come. Bless you, Connor number 2.
Thank you very much.
And just as the first day, guys, there's really not much between this oasis and where you're headed. But your pace today is quicker. It's not as slow and steady as it was the day prior. This, Connor number 2, when you reach to the point where you can see the ruins of Ruthatep, you will suffer from one level of exhaustion for how fast you guys were going. Your water skins will be depleted completely. The only thing left will be some crocodile steaks that Connor number 1 has turned into jerky hanging on the back of his pack. And she says, the guide turns as you see it in the distance. And she says, not very long now. I will leave you to the gates. I will not go into that place again. I would wait until the sun goes down. Perhaps we can find out how to open the gates then. And she stops you probably a solid mile, kind of on a higher dune, where you guys can see these gates. And although it does look like a crumbling ruined city, the walls are intact. The walls look to be like a giant circle or semicircle that butts up against a large mountain in the middle of the desert. You can see various openings. You believe them to be caves or something, kind of littered there. But all of the large buildings have begun to crumble or are severely crumbling. And the only thing that you notice as sun goes down are 3 torches at the front gate. These walls are 25 to 30 feet tall, sheer, straight up and down. No handholds, no way to climb them. Your guide tells you all this, and obviously you can see it for yourself. She tells you to press ahead, and she wishes you luck. What would the 4 of you like to do?
Let's see. I would probably play the part of the rogue and probably go ahead.
Okay. How far ahead?
Probably enough just to study the wall, like
Okay.
closer.
How close do you think you would need to do that?
I don't know. Are we going right up to it?
I'm asking you guys what you want to do.
Yeah, Brutag would highly advise against approaching it directly. Kind of
Okay.
noting that a fortress like that is most probably occupied by something. It's this bastion in the middle of nothing. Of course, something's going to be living in there.
So
Whether
how are
it's
we going to
a
be
beetle.
sneaky then? There's nothing but sand. It's hard to sneak.
For
Perhaps the cover of night, maybe.
just kind of works at Sahara and Vertex says sneak. When have you ever known a tumor to sneak anywhere?
That's true. He certainly
We
isn't
make
stealthy.
more noise than the paladin in his armor.
So what do you guys want to do? What's your plan? This is completely open. I got nothing planned here, so I'm playing off you guys.
Well,
Wait until night.
Okay, it's just about dusk, so you can see that night is falling. By the time you could get to the walls, it would probably be night. probably a solid hour.
Okay, maybe let the tomb heart go first, and then I can be stealthy.
Okay.
Maybe if there's anything in the walls, he could draw it out with his noise.
Okay. Well, the only thing that you see right now, like I said, is the sealed gates with 3 torches, which they really kind of look like statues, but they have like they're burning. There's like a top to them, probably 3 or 4 feet tall, nothing crazy. But that's really the only area that you can see. Now, who has night vision here, or dark vision? Okay. So Connor, number 1.
I do. I'm a tabaxi, so yeah.
Okay. So Connor, you and Liz, you guys notice pretty much what you saw in the daytime. These are sheer walls, 25 or 30 feet tall. You can see above that there's a place to stand or to guard. But as you get closer to the walls, and I'm going to say you're probably 100 feet away, just in the blackness, away from the gate. The odd thing is it's completely silent. You don't hear the wind. You don't hear insects. It's completely dead silent.
Did our guide point out where they were, like her companions, when they got kidnapped?
She said that, well, she doesn't know what happened to them. But she said that they did go up to the gate. That is where she remembers seeing that creature.
Yeah, when she mentioned the creature, would that jog any kind of knowledge of animals or beasts of that I would know as a person who's wandered this kind of region a bit?
Give me a survival. Give me a survival check.
And so this is my favorite terrain. Do I get advantage on this?
Yeah, go with advantage.
Cool. Well, that advantage did nothing. I got a total of 13. Sorry. Yeah, 13.
Okay. So you would know that there are a few creatures known to the deserts that have the head of a lion. None of them are good. But a few of them may not be evil. To your knowledge, the only thing in the desert that would fit that description, short of a lion itself, would be some form of a sphinx.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would I'd caution my companions, saying the head of a lion, besides being a lion, it's probably a sphinx of some kind. Half lion, half person. All smarts. Nasty kind of creatures. If one of these things, the sphinx, is in this fortress here, it'll be a death trap. You kind of caution everyone, like if we're dealing with something smart, it'll, essentially we're walking into a mouse trap at this point. And so, watch every step, watch every loose cobblestone, watch every, corner, for things that could be traps essentially.
For this isn't, and then kind of think about it. A creature such as this is what need would they have for churches? And having them burning. I think there might be more to this.
Well, there always is.
And where are you guys exactly now? Like from the gates, are you to the side, to the left, to the right? Where are you all having this conversation?
I imagine we're like on a dune, kind of overlooking this scene.
Okay.
Still kind of off in the distance as we're approaching it, perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah, but I kind of caution to not, just to walk up to the gates and pound on it, essentially.
Okay. So what does everybody want to do?
Let the scouts do their scouting.
Okay. So, Liz and Connor, you guys are you going to go, let's say, right, left, or center? If you're looking at the gate.
Yeah. How, what's the circumference, would you imagine? Like the perimeter if you include like the mountain in the background and this fortress, is it just like miles upon miles?
It's probably a mile. It's a solid mile from one, and it's just sheer. This is the reason that it lasted as long as it did. You know, it was very defensible.
Yeah, so I maybe I would try to point out perhaps like a dunier part of the sand that kind of would offer more cover and more kind of just like, you know, obstruction that we can kind of like move to be, you know, a little more concealed, and use that kind of path, you know, to approach the wall.
Okay. Then I need
off to the left.
Okay. I need both of you guys to make me stealth checks, please. Okay. And Liz? Could you put it in chat, Liz? There you go. So Liz becomes one with the night. She is a living shadow, and nothing can detect her. Connor, on the other hand, well, let's just say he wasn't as stealthy. So as you walk up here, how close would you want to get, Connor, to these walls?
It's I'm so torn. It's like I want to be able to, you know, look at it and inspect it. I don't want to, you know, fall victim to burning oil. I don't know, like 50 feet away from the walls of this, I think would be a good distance.
Okay. And I'm assuming that, Liz, you're going to be with Connor? You're still muted, by the way.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And Jaren and Connor number 2, what are you guys doing while they're doing their scouting thing? Just being loud and, I mean...
Yeah, drawing attention to us and not them.
So what would you be doing? Would you be walking up?
Actually, I kind of imagine we might actually be a kind of sparring and making a noise. Not really going to hurt each other, but me being made of metal and him being this big door.
Practice.
Exactly.
So you come upon the ruins of an ancient city. You send your scouts out, and you're on a mission, and you and your compatriot start sparring outside of a random city gate. Okay. Yes. Okay.
This is how we make distractions here.
Okay, and how far away are you from the walls, guys, that you're doing your sparring?
Well,
how far out does the torchlight reach?
A little bit of light would probably be 60 feet.
I'd imagine we'd probably be a good 70, 75 feet because we would want to be back behind our scouts. That way, if something does notice us, it comes to us, not them.
Okay. I am going to need a wisdom check from both Connor number 2 and Jaren, please. That little smirk on Connor's face is always funny.
I got an 8.
You got an 8? Okay. Jaren?
Let's say he got the high roll.
Okay.
That one.
Okay. So both of you are so caught up in your sparring and the clinging and clanging, and I'm sure the rogue and the ranger that are out scouting are looking back at you guys like, Jesus Christ, what's going on? Again, you can't leave them alone for a second. And you guys are so caught up in something you don't notice for a few moments that the front gate begins to swing open slowly. And you hear this deafening roar, just a and both of you are scared to death for the next 1 minute, staring at this gate, frozen in fear. Now, Connor and Liz, you have heard this as well, but it doesn't have any effect on you. What would you like to do? You guys are literally 65 feet, 70 feet away in front of this gate on the edge of the light, just frozen in fear.
Immediately, I would like hop behind kind of like one of the sand dunes, or kind of maybe crouch, trying to hide essentially, kind of fumbling for that crossbow, and I'm looking down at the dagger that I have to see if it's glowing or not.
It is not glowing. How? What's the distance for that?
30 feet. So,
yeah, nope. You are not. It's not glowing blue. There's no orcs near, buddy.
Yeah. Oh well. Another day, Thorn. Yeah. He kind of like fumbled to knock another crossbow bolts into it, and kind of maybe put up his hand to tell the rogue silently, hold up. It's kind of obvious at this point, because of the giant roar. But
okay. And Liz, what are you going to be doing after hearing this?
Probably pause and, make sure the guys are still in one piece after hearing that loud commotion and haven't seen them just freeze in place. Probably just shake my head and just kind of just freeze in my tracks, kind of crouch behind a dune.
So, Liz, has this happened to these two before? Have they stepped in something before that they probably shouldn't have? Is this pretty common with you guys?
Very common.
Yes.
Okay. So, so go ahead.
Its commonality compared to healing potions commonality, we're like more than that.
And yet all of you have survived this long. So, Liz, would you be making your way over towards them, or would you be kind of hiding behind something the way that Connor is?
Would probably be trying to stealthily get closer.
Okay. And you can do that with your 22 that you rolled earlier. And with that, guys, as the gates swing open, Connor and Jaren, you guys do see a figure slowly coming out of the gates. You see the head of a lion, the body of a lion. But it's odd. It has wings and a golden kind of shimmering mane around it. Around its neck is a like gold and gem filled it's kind of a necklace, but it's several inches thick. It's probably 8 or 9 feet tall from foot to head, and probably 10 or 12 from head to tail. It looks at the two of you, and in a very low, guttural voice, it says, "Welcome." It then looks towards you, Connor, number one, and you as well. And I need Jaren and Connor number two to both give me another wisdom save, please.
Six.
Okay.
I got even more scared.
Okay. Jaren, you just stay there. You feel this overwhelming urge to start walking forward, Jaren, but you don't. You fight it for some reason. You maybe it's just because you're not, you're not human. You're made of something different, but you resist. But Connor number two, you don't. And you slowly start to take large, loud steps towards this thing until you're about 10 feet away. Basically, nose to nose with this creature that makes you look small. The only other thing around besides the open gate are these 3 statues that are serving as torches. Seeing this, what would the other 3 of you like to do? as your pally is now basically under the control of this thing.
Is it like visibly noticeable that like the Sphinx is putting the paladin under some kind of weird effect, or is it looking like voluntary?
It looks like it's voluntary. It looks like he's just walking forward.
Yeah, I feel like my dwarf would like kind of grit his teeth a bit, kind of hum and haw, and then like not knowing what to do, and then he kind of would blurt out to the Grimdul, "Get away from that thing! Get back! What are you doing?"
And Connor, you would still be moving forward during this time, but you would have full control of your mind and what you say. So how would you respond to that?
It can be dangerous, but so can the rest of us. I just be near it.
Okay. And Liz, seeing this, what would you do?
Try to creep even closer, try not to get spotted, because basically if this thing shows any aggression, I want to be able to try to take it out.
Okay. Give me a stealth roll, please.
Another stealth roll. Okay.
Yep. You're trying to creep up on a Sphinx.
Yeah, probably not hard. Not too hard. Let's see, rolled 18 plus 9. I took mastery.
Okay.
I took mastery and stealth.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good. So you do it. You can probably get to about the edge, probably 60 feet or so from it before it can see you due to the light.
Yeah, so, I just need to get close enough to where I can shoot with my bow if I need to.
I got you. And this creature, again, in that kind of low voice, says, "If you answer my questions, you may pass. Answer them wrong, and you will all die."
I have to warn everyone around me. I'm not the great person with riddles.
Your friends may join you. This is a contest that will take all of you to survive. If they wish to lurk in the shadows, they may, but only those who stand in between these torches may answer my riddles.
Mirrodin would everyone like, please come in, help me. I'm not the right person for this.
For Urge would definitely step up forward, even though he's naive. If he hasn't been around for several decades like some of these others, but he dropped to protect the group, so whatever happens to one happens to all.
Gotcha. Okay. What about you, Liz?
At that point, she would probably just make herself known and be like, "Well, shoot, all right." Just kind of tail whipping. Is like, I have to save you all the time.
Yeah. Trying to take on a Sphinx head on is not something you want to do at level 6. And
that's why you need your friends.
Yep. Connor, number 1. What you gonna come up?
Yeah, I'm gonna come out from my back behind the dune and kind of like stand in the full kind of light of the torches, not like between them, but just in full view essentially. And gotcha. I kind of yell out to it, saying, "I've got a question before you and your questions."
Proceed.
There were some fish people earlier, Dorsai elves. If you still got them, that's what we're here for.
One remains. The one that you seek. The heir to the chieftain.
Yeah, him.
Yes. Still alive. For now.
I wouldn't want to ask this of you. He's kind of stuttering at this point, kind of almost, I imagine, like in awe of this creature. Maybe because of his presence. He kind of stammering and stuttering a bit. But he basically tried to ask, how about him? If we beat your riddles, your questions, can he go free too?
I never said that I held your friend. I never said that the one you seek was my prisoner. If you answer my riddles and you survive, I will tell you where you may find him. And then, perhaps, you will succeed.
And what happens if we just turn around and walk away? Forget this never happened.
I wish you luck to get away from me.
And so I'd see kind of the writing on the walls at this point. And I'd reluctantly kind of hobble over using the axe as my walking stick and my signature limp, and kind of emerge into the full light of these torches, and kind of like almost like an awkward amount of time it would take for me to like limp this 60 feet. I'm taking my time, kind of on purpose, just to buy people time to steel themselves for an onslaught of weird and wacky riddles. And yeah, I joined the others in the center of these torches to confront this riddles, knowing that to run away is to die essentially, and finding an alternate path is kind of pointless at this point.
Well, if your guys weren't making such a ruckus outside of the gate, you might have had another option. So, as the four of you
distractions are just so distracting.
So, as you guys, basically in front of the gate, you have these kind of three, as I said, kind of small statues. They're all sitting up on pedestals about 4 or 5 feet high, but the statues themselves are 4 or 5 feet high as well. And each of them has a light above them, like a burning, kind of like a lamp. Okay. And you are all, as you all get between the kind of this triangle of them, this kind of magic circle underneath you begins to glow kind of a purplish color, basically showing that the game has begun. And he looks at all of you and he says, you may survive if you don't answer them all correctly. Then again, you may not. Your constitution and fortitude will be tested. Are all of you ready?
Ready till ever
As I shall be.
Okay.
And he begins. I cover cities and destroy mountains. I make men blind, yet help them see. What am I? And no Googling. Jaren.
Unfortunately, I already know.
Well, talk to your friends.
In this desert, that which covers cities is sand. However, sand does not help people to see, so the correct answer would be glass.
Is that everybody's going with that?
It's what we've got.
Yeah, I'd add on to the fact that I maybe correct Forge and kind of say, well, that glass is just heated up sand in kilns. So yeah, sand would be my answer too.
I think sand makes more sense.
Okay. You see the statue to the left, the light above it goes out. And the creature looks at you and says, "You have answered wisely." He says, the next, "Round like an apple, deep like a cup, yet all the king's horses cannot pull it up. What am I?" Round like an apple, deep like a cup, yet all the king's horses cannot pull it up.
And at this point, Sahara would probably point out, okay, just because it is deep like a cup doesn't necessarily mean that it's as deep as a cup.
Right?
I'm thinking something like an oasis or a pond where, you know, you can't actually dig it up because if you do, the water would just spill out of your hands.
But is it round? Like an apple?
Oh, you're right. I didn't hear the apple part.
Round like
It
an
could
apple.
be a moat.
Round like an apple, deep like a cup, yet all the king's horses cannot pull it up.
I mean, I kind of already know the answer, but I'm not sure if would my character know?
That's something you guys got to figure out. If you don't think your character would know it, then don't answer it, please.
I'm pretty sure she actually would know it, living in the city and all,
Okay.
and having been to a village and stuff like that. So
What,
she would probably
do you
be
guys
like,
think?
I'm pretty sure it's a well.
And he would say again,
That makes a lot of sense.
and he would say again, "You have chosen wisely." And the statue to the right, the light is snuffed out. "You have done well, all of you. Far better than those before. The final answer, or the final riddle, will come. And keep in mind, the one you seek will be found through all of your answers here. Remember that." And he says, "If you break me, I do not stop working. If you touch me, I may be snared. If you lose me, nothing will matter. What am I? If you break me, I do not stop working. If you touch me, I may be snared. If you lose me, nothing will matter." I give you guys 30 seconds. And if you just straight up don't know, that's okay. You can say we don't know.
I start like kind of bawling, or not bawling, kind of spitting out words to the companions, not like answering, but like maybe it's like hope or something. You can break hope, or you break spirits, and then if you lose your spirits, nothing matters. I don't know about touching. If you touch spirits, they get snared. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that, not knowing the answer to this one, the creature rears back on its hind legs and just kind of sits on its haunches. It doesn't really rear up, but he looks at all of you and says, "You have answered poorly. If you break me, I do not stop working. If you touch me, I may be snared. If you lose me, nothing will matter. The answer is the heart." And as
Deep.
as you look up, the flame on top of that center statue right in front of you guys begins to burn brighter and brighter, and just it's almost blinding at one point. And the last thing you see is this creature just basically turning into sand, and just in a whoosh is gone and just melds into the sand. And I need everybody to give me a dexterity save, please.
Okay.
Four.
Okay.
And this one's supposed to be my lucky dice.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. So we're looking for a DC of 13. So, okay, so this makes sense. So Jaren, and what you guys see, as this thing fades away and this light gets brighter and brighter, eventually that flame begins to engulf the statue itself until it just, and that statue actually explodes and just ignites in this big fireball 20 feet around it. Those who failed the DC 13 save take 22 points of fire damage. Those who made it take 11. And now you remain in the dark, in the silence. What would you like to do? And how's everybody feeling?
Singed.
I would think so. 22 damage, yeah.
Ah, you singed my fur. Now it's never gonna get clean.
God damn
I would
that
imagine.
smell.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Luckily, Fudge doesn't feel.
So the riddles were answered. The answers were sand, well, and heart. And you were told that these were clues, basically, to where you will find the one you seek. But you now are standing basically at the gate open into the city. What would you guys like to do?
Go to the heart of the city, climb down the well, and he'll be in a pile of sand. Maybe.
Or the sand's out here, and Mirrodin gestures to literally all around them.
All right, so we make a well, we fill it with hearts, and then cover it in sand, and then he'll appear. He's kind of just frantic at this point, kind of. He's unhappy that he, wasn't able to put his wisdom to use in this riddle.
Okay, climb up the sand steps and then go down a well, and then it'll be the heart of something big, I'm guessing.
You guys just tell me what you want to do.
Maybe we.
None of you are familiar with this city, so.
Maybe we do something well that involves hearts, and then cover ourselves in sand. I don't know, man. I'm at a loss.
Fudge just kind of shakes his head at his companion and says, well, we're already here. The gate is open. We might as well have a look around.
You're right. Yeah, let's just pretend like the riddle doesn't mean anything. He's got to be here somewhere. The Sphinx said he was. So, I mean, I don't think that the Sphinx would lie. They're too arrogant to lie.
And by the way, guys, you got 2 of those 3. If you hadn't, it would have been 4d6 times 3. That each of those statues does 46. So that first one did 22. So needless to say, well done. Jaren apparently knew that question before, so that's okay. But
that's one of my
from the
favorite
forges.
riddles to use.
I thought the heart one was the easiest one. From the outside looking in, I thought the heart one was the easiest one.
I was close.
I was
on the right track.
thinking something like life or the breath, but I wasn't quite at the heart yet.
Hey, you know what I'm gonna do, guys? Let's take just a 5-minute break because I have to pee.
Cool.
And refill my drink, and we'll do that before we enter the city. And we should be about another hour, guys. Then we'll be done.
Awesome.
Solid. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if we didn't answer the riddles, we would have been well done. End with a joke.
You just gotta follow your heart. Nathan Bailey, you're finally getting the chat out. Don't tell anyone. Shh. It would not have been good if we fought that Sphinx.
Oh, there was
Quite the
no
opposite.
way we were fighting it at level 6.
Yeah, nah, we're not screwing with that kind of stuff.
Huh? What? I just got back.
We're not screwing with Sphinxes.
Yeah, I love riddles, so it's kind of hard to not do a puzzle.
Yeah, for me, it was really hard not to try to metagame back because it's my favorite riddle to throw at my players.
I kind of know too many riddles. I've kind of memorized most of them by heart, except for the heart one was new for me. So I was like, oh, great.
That's a new one to learn by heart.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, Connor, number one.
But I actually even know the reason for the one I answered for like each of the lines. And the reason behind them, sand covers a city. If it rubs against a mountain because of erosion, it can tear down a mountain. It gets in your eye, you can't see, and then heated sand makes glass, which some of us wear. So
Yep.
it helps us to see.
I thought it was pertinent to everything.
It was a cool riddle to throw away. It just kind of sucked that I knew it.
Well, you cheated. That's all.
I mean, I knew it. I never heard that riddle before, and I heard it by the first and second line. Like the only thing that destroys mountains and covers cities is sand. I'm already on that kind of line of thought, and then
Yeah.
it just popped in my mind right away. Which is
The
cool.
only part of it that's a little odd is that last part about the helps them see.
Yeah.
And if you don't think, and that's what he went, but like I really didn't get it until my wife was like, yeah, like glasses. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Like 90% of my players will think sand.
Yeah.
And
seas with no water,
then they
coasts with
just
no
don't
sand,
think
without
that
people,
glass
no
is
land.
heated sand.
Yeah,
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything that you just said, Liz.
Oh, sorry. I was like, was coasts with no water. Wait, no. Oh yeah, it was seas with no water, coasts with no sand, towns without people, mountains without land. I know lots of riddles.
Map.
Well, I will tell you, I tried to find one for a lot of different things, and I tell you, it was hard to find. Actually, it really was.
Yeah.
So It was kind of annoying,
Yeah,
actually.
unless you know where to look.
It can be really hard to find one that people don't know.
Right.
That's the hard part. Yep.
Oh, just because so many people have used them in tabletop RPGs that people memorize them.
Yeah, what I like to do is I kind of like to inject a little bit of my world's lore into it a little bit to make it kind of like unique to the setting, perhaps. But like, it's kind of hard to do when you're making riddles up on the fly or something, right? So,
Well, it's funny. I actually, you're talking about homebrews. I actually have been working on mine for probably 2 years, but it's actually a desert world. So I haven't presented it yet, but the PDF is probably 50 pages at this point.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I've been working on it a long time, but I'm not going to put it out until it's perfect. So anyway,
so expect it in 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I got, dude, you know how many projects I got going right now with Jake?
Like a million.
Yeah, there's probably like 10 right now.
Yeah, a million.
Anyway, yeah, you guys know you're doing it too. So anyway, if we're all back, sorry guys, I I know I've been taking a bunch of breaks today, but I'm not used to sitting in one spot this long lately. So we are at the gates of the city. What would you guys like to do? What are you looking for? What do you want to find? Tell me what you want to do.
Immediately, the ranger is going to do what a ranger has done for the past 20 years, is look for tracks in the sand. Find maybe like drag marks or maybe footsteps of like perhaps, the 4 Dorsai elves that were taken into the city before.
Sure, give me a survival roll.
Yeah. And then can I use my desert knowledge to advantage this?
Yeah, sure. It's fine.
Cool. All right, that's a whopping 22.
Okay. So with your dark vision and everything that you see, you do notice some faint footprints. It's been a few days and the wind has been blowing, so the sand has kind of covered them up a little bit. They're not as crisp as they were initially. But these do look to be, humanoid kind of bipedal tracks. And you see that they are heading basically deep into the city. You can see probably, as far as your dark vision can see, 60 feet. And you just see those slowly go. You don't see any drag marks or anything, but you do see those prints.
Yeah, so I kind of point out to the best of the people kind of this line of tracks, like there's foot tracks going into the heart of the city. They look like they're voluntary tracks. So either something lives here, or that's where our elves went. Went there by choice, not by force.
Then let's head that way.
Keep your wits about you. Who knows where the Sphinx lurks? He's kind of like on edge. He doesn't want the Sphinx to pop up randomly and ask another 3 questions. Yes, he's going to get his kind of crossbow readied and
okay.
Follow the tracks. Yeah.
And as you steadily follow the tracks, it takes you deeper and deeper and deeper into the city. You pass, abandoned shops with, crumbling stone walls, cracked glass. It looks like whatever was here has been picked clean, probably by those Dorsai elves, just throughout the years, throughout the ages, taking whatever they could use. You see the rare piece of wood, but you also see bleached, like every here and there, bleached skeletons, humanoid skeletons of varying sizes, as you just kind of pass through the city. And by the time you're probably 30 minutes in, you've probably passed 3 dozen different skeletons. These are obviously, this is just what's seen. There's probably hundreds more that you can't. And as you follow these tracks, they abruptly stop, Connor. And before you, about 10 feet in diameter, with beautiful polished sandstone around the edges, is a well. And the tracks. Yeah, good. No, good.
Yeah, I kind of say, well, here's one of our clues, a well. You kind of look around to the his 3 other companions. Who wants to go in first?
Well, I recommend we throw down the torch first.
Yep.
See
You
what's down
guys
there,
do have torches? Yep.
so that no one gets bitten by anything again.
Good boy, checking for gators. And then he would light up a spare torch, kind of undoing his dark vision, and kind of place it, kind of like hold it down into the well to kind of see a bit. And I imagine probably he wouldn't see anything because the well's pretty deep.
No.
And then he'd kind of like drop it in to see
Okay.
kind of what the light would reveal as it falls and lands on whatever the bottom is.
The only thing that you can really see is that it does kind of illuminate the sides and then it stops. It doesn't illuminate sides anymore, as if probably about 30 feet down, it opens up. And after probably 6 seconds or so, you hear whoosh, as if it fell into some type of a liquid, and the torch is extinguished.
Yeah, we're looking at a pool of water down there. About 6 seconds down, kind of like, does the math of whatever distance that is of a fall. I can't do that math as a person, as a human, so I'll pretend that my dwarf can. And kind of would relay how far it is down.
Yeah, you're probably looking 60 feet.
Yeah.
60 feet to bottom.
Is it he'd listen kind of after this disturbance he's done, after maybe the few days of silence the city has had. This disturbance of this torch, would that he's listening for kind of like a movement or splashing of like creatures or something stirring from this disturbance?
You can hear the splash kind of echoing up the well, but beyond that, once the water settles, you don't hear anything.
I dropped down a piece of jerky, just one little piece, as well, maybe to taunt something out or
Okay.
lure it out if there's anything layering in there.
Liz, you can see as right before he drops that. Liz, you can see as far as he can. What are you doing here? You just watching the ranger or what?
I'm thinking maybe we could get out some rope and try to just kind of propel down. I mean, we could easily just jump in if the water's deep enough, but at this point, it probably wouldn't be the smartest.
Right. So you want to try to get some rope together?
Yeah, I think I have.
You
Don't
probably
I
have
have-
50 feet.
Yeah,
in your
50
pack.
feet hemp rope.
Okay.
So we might, since it's 60 feet down plus the length of the well, probably might need to tie a couple pieces together if anybody else has any rope.
Yeah, I've got 50 feet.
Okay.
So that way, in case we need to climb back up.
Okay. So I'm going to say that you can kind of tie those together. And when it's all tied, anchored down and everything, you probably have about 80 feet of rope there. So you're going to toss it down there once it's anchored?
Just looks at them, says, as the fall won't hurt me. Hey,
No, but it'll hurt the rest of us.
why don't you secure the rope up here and I'll jump down with it, and then the rest of you can climb down.
Hold up a minute. Let me check for gators first. I got this jerky. I wanna tempt out any kind of lurking predators. Like he's like my character will snap kind of at like how willing everyone is to kind of climb down. And I'm like, no, check for those damn gators. And I'm gonna toss like one strip of crocodile jerky down into this well.
Okay.
Just to tempt something out if there's anything lurking in there.
All right. Well, you can hear it just kind of, hit the water. But the same thing, you heard the echo of it hitting the water, but you do not hear anything. It is silent as a tomb.
Yeah. And so like after a painstakingly long time, he's like, ear kind of pressed up to the stone or, near the stone of the well, everyone's, tapping their feet waiting, like it's 10 minutes. I'm, drawn out, waiting like any second now. Come on, take the bait, take the bait. You know, he'd be whispering. You know, he kind of gives up. You know, like, all right, safe. After there's no movement at all in the water.
It's like, well, Forge, I don't see why anything would want to try to eat him, so sending him down with the rope makes sense.
Go for it. Do you just want to jump?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would just jump on in.
Okay. I'm going to say, just roll me a straight D20, Jaren. Just a straight D20. Okay. Now I have to do something. Hold on. Jaren, you take a hold of this rope and you jump down as it just, and you land in the water. And you actually take 9 damage from falling as you catch yourself as you land in about 3 feet of water to the bedrock below. You may not take damage like a human, but you absolutely get hurt from jumping 60 feet. I don't know why you would think that you wouldn't. So you are standing now with in approximately 3 feet of water, looking up at your companions. What would you say to them?
He would just almost pure silent. It's just ow. Then they look up, says, "Well, get to climbing, and we don't have all day, and I can't see down there."
Okay. What are the other 3 you like to do? Because I'm sure you heard the clang. What were the other 3 you like to do?
I'll let the other 2 go first if they're wanting to climb down. Like, oh, I'm too old. I'll have to take my time getting down there. Don't want to hold you guys up. After you, come on.
I think I'll go first, unless the paladin wants to go first. But I don't know. It's kind of heavy armor.
No, Kitten, you go.
All right. So you're just going to hop on down there, just climb down quickly on the thing, Liz?
Yep.
Okay. And who's
even some acrobatics? I don't know. I don't know if I can roll an acrobatics that high though without falling. I only got +6 to acrobatics.
You're probably better to just do your thing.
Yeah,
Good?
just do the thing. Just, climb down the rope. Nothing too fancy.
Okay. Connor, what were you saying?
I was just about to say that I think Tabaxi had a climb speed, so if she really wanted to, she would just climb down across the roof of everything.
Yeah. So who's going to go next? You're going to do Connor or Connor?
I think I'll go down the rope next after Sahara is all the way down.
Okay. And you 2 get down there. No problem at all. Last one up there is going to be Connor number 1.
Yeah, now the other 3 are down. He's kind of gonna trail back to see where the rope is anchored to, kind of see how bad of a job these kids did with the rope tying, and maybe refasten it in a better way. They did the wrong knot. This would slip under too much weight. And kind of
not while I'm on it, right?
No, of course not. Kind of making sure that it won't fall and undo when he climbs down it. He's kind of a perfectionist in this way. Yeah, he kind of does a double check, up above ground, making sure there's no movement on the rooftops or in the shadows and stuff. He kind of looks to his dagger, seeing that it's probably not glowing. And then if it's safe, he'd kind of climb down, taking his time. His old bones kind of hurt. As the bones themselves are turned to stone, and kind of this weird Uldane arthritis going on in his joints.
Uldane arthritis.
Yeah, you can kind of hear the creaking of stone on stone bones.
So we can call it arthritis.
Uldaneritis or something. Yeah.
Okay.
And then he takes his time climbing down the rope.
Okay.
Kind of grunting and heaving and kind of mumbling and grumbling as he does so.
Okay. And the four of you make it down there. The two of you with dark vision, before anyone else lights a torch, you notice probably about 30 feet away that two corpses just floating in the water. As you get closer, you realize these are elves dressed just like your guide was in the same gear. They're missing limbs. Their eyes have been removed. Their tongues have been removed. And it looks like their hearts have been removed. But all there is floating. You don't see any of those parts. You just see the torsos of these corpses.
When I'm seeing these dismembered bodies, if I kind of like inspect them a little bit further, no, you're not touching them or anything, do the missing limbs and stuff look like they're not surgically removed, but like kind of cleanly removed, or looks like it's been, torn or something?
Ripped and torn. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
There's
I kind of
about it.
Maybe I kind of poke at one with the blade of my axe, kind of the butt of the axe, kind of seeing that it's dead. He's this floating, dismembered body. Kind of noting the ripped and tornness of it. It's like, yeah, we're not alone here.
Okay.
I don't
Liz, you'd be seeing this too.
Yeah, that doesn't look good. We should probably, I don't know, light a torch and send the other two ahead.
That's what you guys would like to do?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
I will light a torch, have that in one hand and my shield in the other.
Okay. And as you light this torch, you see you are actually in, it's probably like an old aquifer, except the water is significantly lower than it used to be, obviously, as it's only 3 feet in most places. It's just a large cavern. You do see off to your right that it does seem to wind around, but you cannot see that far, probably 30 or 40 feet with your torch. But you see the reflections of the torch just kind of bouncing off the wall. So it's almost like you see little shadows here, little shadows there. You think you see something, and then you don't. Just those weird kind of cave torch moments. Would you guys like to go around or go back up, or what do you want to do? Connor number 2 and Jaren, you guys are leading the way. So what would you two like to do?
I would imagine Forge would actually be taking the very front, maybe 10, 15 feet in front of everyone else, and he would just start following where it's winding at.
Okay. And how far behind him are you going to be, Connor number 2?
I'm probably going to be 10 feet-ish behind him.
Okay. So, and I'm assuming that the other two are just going to follow up the rear, right?
Yeah.
Connor and Liz? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So,
I think I'm going to be sneaky.
Okay. So we'll have you coming up the rear then. So Jaren, you're going through this, and the water gets shallower and shallower to the point where you're just walking on rock, and this kind of path or tunnel. Oh, hold on a second, I gotta sneeze.
Bless you.
There you go. One more. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Sorry about that. I'm so blessed. So yeah, it starts to get to the point where you can't really go more than single file. Okay. And Jaren, you notice that the tunnel seems to be heading downhill, just on a small grade, maybe 15 feet, or sorry, maybe 15 degrees, but it's steadily getting steeper and steeper as you go. What would you do? Would you say anything, or would you just keep going without thinking?
I think he probably wouldn't really think anything of it, knowing that the tabaxi's pretty light on her feet, and the others being dwarfs kind of know how tunnels work, so.
Okay. So you're just basically trying to get through there quickly, correct? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, kind of critically. He definitely doesn't like being where he only has to rely on a torch to see.
Gotcha. Okay. So as you go down a little bit further, you step on just this rock, trying to step over, but you wind up stepping on it, and you feel it sink under your feet, and you hear a single click. Would you stop, or would you keep going, Jaren?
I think he would stop like immediately.
Okay.
Foot still on that stone, and
Okay.
call back to the group. Careful, or I think I might have set something off.
Okay. Well, you don't hear anything except for that click as your companions just kind of bunch up behind you. What would you all tell them to do?
I'd immediately yell, it's like, get back, and kind of immediately go the opposite direction, back down the way we came a bit.
Okay.
And I'd kind of fumble for my shield that's kind of strapped to my back, and affix it to my arm to kind of block any kind of random things that might be trying to attack us now that we've triggered a trap in this little tunnel.
Okay.
Are there any? Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. Oh, are there any loose stones around or something with which I could put on the trap? Kind of do a switcheroo.
There's tons of loose stones. Yeah, you could absolutely try that. Sure. That'd be more of like a disarm traps, I guess.
Or
probably like a sleight of hand. We could do a sleight of hand.
Yeah, I think that would be more of a sleight of hand, wouldn't it?
Okay. Well, this is gonna be a pretty hard one. So it's gonna be a DC 15.
Doesn't hurt to try.
Nope. Go for it.
All right. Rolling. Nat 20.
Okay. So so describe what this looks like as you completely, do this instant switch of weight, and it's perfect. What does it look like?
Kind of like finding just the right size of rock, and then just kind of doing the whole Indiana Jones thing, kind of judge the weight of the foot versus the weight of the rock. Too big of a rock. Okay, get a smaller rock. All right, let's try if this one works.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
So Jaren, you feel as you lift your leg, your big metal leg, that nothing has moved. You don't hear anything. Do you move forward? Do you move back? What do you do?
I think he would probably step back a couple steps.
Okay.
And just kind of look at the tabaxi, and maybe Sahara should go ahead.
Okay. Would she, Sahara, do you want to keep going, or do you want him to go first, or do you want the Grim Dollar?
Definitely go first, but check for traps.
That's very smart. That's very smart. So along the way, you find 3 other of these kind of footfall traps, and you, because you were looking for them, you disarm them. This tunnel opens up into a large, it almost looks like a tomb, a very ornately carved tomb. There are 2 torches on each of the 4 walls. The room is probably 60 feet long, 40 feet wide. The ceiling is 20 feet. these just ornate murals, just beautiful, bright colors, just show on all the walls, and the flickering of the torches just make them look gorgeous. And in the center, you have a sarcophagus. And there's nothing else in this room. The only other thing you notice is that in the top of this sarcophagus is kind of an auburn or like an orange colored gem about the size of your fist. Not a Grimdall fist, a regular fist. And you almost hear, if you listen quietly, the only other thing you hear is kind of this distant scratching noise. Just almost like a finger scratching against wood. What would you guys like to do?
Is the sarcophagus made of wood?
Not that you see. The part of the sarcophagus you see is pure stone.
Okay.
I'd call up from, being very much behind everyone else, like, everything's still all right up there? Kind of, make sure that they haven't, died to random spikes coming out of the walls or something.
We've made it to an opening, it seems.
Nothing happened when you stepped on the trap?
I think he's talking to you, Liz.
I'd be like, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think I did a pretty handy work of doing the old switcheroo trick.
Like I said, you guys are all kind of at the entrance here, kind of bunched up, but you're not out of the tunnel yet. But that's really, you don't see an obvious exit from this place.
Step into the room, being very cautious, looking around, kind of doing the whole, cat bunched up close to the ground thing.
Gotcha. What about you, Jaren? What are you doing?
He would be walking into the room towards the sarcophagus very slowly, and you could almost swear you could see like the gears in his head turning, because he's thinking, we saw the two CL bodies. We know there's another one. We don't see there's any way out. So he's thinking, because there's nothing really in this room except for the sarcophagus, the person we're looking for might be trapped in that sarcophagus.
Okay, and what would you guys say to that?
Onward, then.
I got a nasty feeling about this. Something doesn't sit right with me.
Nothing ever sits right with you.
Is the coffin trapped, or is it just,
Oh, are you going to go try to open it?
Well, no, I just want to see if it's trapped.
Why would I answer that question until you try to open it?
Ah, dang it. Probably is.
Right? I'm a pretty shitty DM. Oh,
I
okay,
want
it's
to
trapped.
open it first.
Well, Jaren's pretty much rushed into everything already, first thing, so somebody's going to open it. Should be him.
Man, darts will just bounce right off his body, so.
He's only got a 14 AC. It's very soft metal. Very soft metal. What do you guys want to do? You're just staring at the thing now.
I'll try to open it.
I'm going to step
Okay.
really far back then, if that's the case. As he approaches the sarcophagus lid, I can see him kind of like reaching over to kind of like push it. I'm like, backing up as far as I can, maybe even in the nose of the tunnel where we came from. Got my shield at the ready, just like paranoid and cautious at this point. You know, I've seen a lot of stuff, and then his stupidity has gone too far. You know, I'm not going to bother trying to tell him to stop because I know how bullheaded he is. So I'm just going to try and deal with this.
So you're gonna take cover.
Yeah.
Liz, what are you gonna do? You're gonna take cover. You're gonna help him. What are you gonna do?
I think I'm going to possibly try to help him a bit, just in case it is trapped. So that way, maybe I can do the switcheroo trick again. But I don't know how to do that on a coffin lid.
And
possibly.
And Jaren, finally, what are you doing?
Well, Foot
Jaren?
wasn't actually thinking about opening it yet. He was just walking and towards it and kind of paying attention to whatever sounds he could hear. But seeing that his other stubborn dwarf friend is rushing in to open it, he definitely would kind of go up at them and hopefully kind of like help shield him. And
okay, so
besides the fact that he's kind of protective, he's also made of metal, so he's kind of thinking if something does go wrong, it's better it hurts him than the others.
Well, you're all standing there, so if something's going to happen, it's going to happen all of you. Except for Connor number one, who took cover because he thinks this is a bad decision. So I need from you, Connor number two, give me an athletics roll, please. Need you to DC a 12.
I got 22.
Okay, so you just push this and just, you hear it kind of and then as like the rock, you hear the rock on rock grinding. And as you push it all the way off and it kind of flops over, you hear kind of a thud, the rock on the floor. You hear click, 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 and you hear, and out of each of those walls coming directly at you is a ball of fire. I need the three of you in the center to all give me 4 dexterity checks, please. Or dexterity saves, excuse me.
Let's see how bad I do.
Uh-oh. Oh, Liz. Okay, so what I need you to do, guys, is in chat give me all 4. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, wow. You guys kind of suck at these right now. So
he's not dexterous.
Yeah,
he's ham-fisted.
Yeah, obviously he punched an alligator. So I'm gonna say that because of where you are, that each of you is going to take 1, except for Connor number 2 is going to take 2. Because you can't all get it. Okay, so, all right. Liz, you are going to take, actually, I need all, oh, that's fine. You are going to take 12 fire damage for yours. Jaren, you're going to take 18 fire damage as this firefall slams into you. And Connor number 2, you're going to take 26 fire damage. So, cool. Just curious, is anybody down?
No.
Okay, good. Good.
Not yet, so, but I'm pretty banged up.
I'm good for now.
Okay, good. So, Connor number 1, what would you say to this as this happened? Would you just be a smartass like I told you so, or would you actually be trying to help?
Absolutely. No, as these fireballs come careening out of the openings and just slam into them, I kind of yell out, kind of some kind of batty old, damn kids, I told you so. And then kind of in the aftermath, I'd immediately rush over though to see if they're all okay.
Right. Okay.
To kind of like help them on their feet again, and see if they're if they're dead or something.
So as the sting of this happens, guys, Connor, you look into the sarcophagus, and you see just what looks like a emaciated, dry, kind of desiccated corpse. It looks like it's wrapped in almost like it started to be a mummy, but they didn't finish. So just like the bottom half of its legs are wrapped, but the top is not. And in the center of its chest is a smaller version of that gem that you saw on the top of this thing. And as you're looking, it begins to glow and kind of shimmer. What would the three of you like to do?
At this point, Zahara's fur is probably pretty badly burned, and she's gonna back off away from this glowing thing and be like, okay.
She's no longer like a living shadow. She's now like a living pile of ash.
Pretty much. At this point, her brown fur is going to be black. She's gonna turn into a panther.
Okay. That could be cool for a scout, though.
Yeah.
Mirdan would like to pick up the glowing stone and try to smash it on the ground.
You would like to grab it out of his chest?
Yes.
Okay. As you do, as your hand touches this gem, almost instantly, the left hand of this corpse goes up and grabs yours. And then it slowly turns its head to the right to look at you. And you see two glowing red eyes as it has a hold of your hand. Roll for initiative.
Finally, a decent roll. 15.
All right. Okay, Liz. Let me see what this guy's going to do here. I only rolled a 6. Okay, so we're gonna go Liz, Jaren, Connor number 2, Connor number 1. So Liz, what do you want to do? You are probably 10, 15 feet away. You see his hand be grabbed. What do you want to do?
Let's see. According to my chart, says that I have advantage on attacks against creatures who haven't taken a turn yet. And I don't think he's surprised, so that negates the critical thing. So I just have to I think I'm going to roll to hit with a bow. Unless you think is that too...
Well, you can do whatever you want to do. The only part you can see of him, though, unless you get closer, is his hand.
Okay, so in that case, I might want to go for my dagger instead. Or rapier. So, considering he's undead, maybe dagger. Thicker blade.
Go for it.
And advantage, because that's a 15 plus...
That's going to hit. Roll for damage.
Oh, okay.
You're looking for 14 units.
Oh, okay, that's right. For a dagger, it's a 1d4 plus 4.
Yep.
You are a very dexterous cat.
Yep. 3. 7. 7 damage.
Okay. Hold on a second. Sweet. Okay. So where do you hit it? Where do you plunge your dagger in?
I want to attack the forearm.
Okay, so the one that's like holding onto him?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, next is going to be Jaren. You are standing right by the sarcophagus. You see him grab Mirdan's hand. What do you want to do?
I think Forge would realize as what Mirdan was attempting to do with smashing the gem, and then remember that there was a bigger gem on the outside. So I imagine he would go to smash that gem with his hammer arm.
Oh, okay. So you want to go to the other side of the sarcophagus and try to crush that gem that's on the other side.
Yeah, but I'm kind of hoping maybe that will have an effect, like, on this wannabe mummy.
Okay, go for it. I'm going to say, let's see. Give me an attack roll just to see, and give me a 12 or above, and I'll say that you hit it.
Okay, I definitely hit. It would be a total of 19 into hit.
And is this with your hammer, with your blacksmith hammer?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say that will actually crush this gem. And as you do, this creature that was just holding on to you, Connor, the hand slowly goes down, his head slowly turns to be straight again, and the gem in his chest again goes dark. And the last thing you hear from this thing is just this kind of audible, as whatever magic that was controlling it is gone. When this happens, on the far wall, on the complete opposite side of you, Connor, number one, a door slides open. And that scratching gets louder as that door opens. And when that door opens, you can almost smell moisture, like it's more humid in there. And you think that besides that tapping, you hear some muttering and some talking as well, but you can't make out what it says.
Yeah, I feel like in this huge heat of the moment, of the hand plunging out to grab the Grimduel, he kind of looks down at his side, sees the dagger glow white, and he's, balls, I missed it again. Then, smashes the thing, and, it's all over in a blink of an eye, and he's, just helping up, as he's just stumbling over and trying to help people up as this all happens. This happens, and he's like, what now? He's kind of saying under his breath, kind of, hobbling over, wielding the axe in one hand and the shield in the other. He doesn't have anything to stabilize himself, and he's going to try and approach, kind of this opening, just to get closer to the muttering, to hear what it's saying, kind of using his keen ears and his observant feet to kind of just.
Okay, give me a perception roll.
Cool. 7.
Ooh. The only words that you make out are the words escape and killed. Those are only 2 words that you can kind of make out from the muttering.
I call out, who's there? To the whatever's causing this muttering.
And you hear it's us, please come save us. They're coming back. Please. We need help. Please come in, save us.
Yeah, I'm not falling for that one. And he kind of would motion to the other 3 to kind of like take point. There's people in there, and there's probably a trap.
Okay. What do you guys want to do? Besides Connor, number one.
People, we've got to get them. We were hired to do this, and we've already got paid, so.
No.
Fudge would round out, actually revealing in his face and body to his companions, and they can see it looks like the metal starting to melt from the heat of the fire, and he's definitely moving very slow compared to normal, but he would just start walking towards that opening and says, we got a job to do. We came this for. Let's end this.
Okay. So you're going to be going through there, Jaron?
Yeah, I imagine I would be probably taking points again.
Okay. And Connor number 2, you going to be with him?
15 feet ahead of everyone.
Okay. Connor number 2, you going to go with him like normal? Or are you a little singed for that?
I'm probably going to go in behind Forged, and I'm not sure how healing works with Tome Hearts.
It doesn't.
Oh, okay.
They basically have to be repaired. It's a different thing. They don't get healing magic like normal. I see. They have a lot of advantages, but that's one that it's a disadvantage.
Got it.
So okay, so you're going to go with him, and I'm assuming that the little stealthy ones are going to be bringing up the rear, and we'll let the singed kitty cat take up the rear.
Yep.
So, Forge, as you get in there, you see several cages, probably half a dozen. 1 or 2 have just bleached white skeletons. One has a corpse of another Dorsai elf. One it looks like this elf is alive, but he just looks emaciated and like dry, and his skin is cracking. He's bleeding from his arms and legs and face, this kind of green blood, just like you saw spewing through the guide's bandages. And then hanging in one of the cages is a much larger elf, one that seems to be in very good health, seems to be generally just more, just better fed, in better shape. And he looks down at you for you, says, Who are you? Please get us out. Get us out of here. We have to go. They're going to come back soon.
Who's they? My character would bark. He's kind of got his hilt on his dagger of warning. He's kind of holding it out and like, why won't this thing ever work? He's holding it up, basically kind of looking at it.
He says, I don't know who, I just know what. It killed the rest of them. We're the only 2 left. Did Orchai, did she get out?
She left, and your father sent for us.
What? Good. My father. Good.
We're here to get you out.
Well, then do that. Open this cage.
Looks at his companions. Let's talk. Walks up towards the cage and not liking it. And remembering back when he first started to be on the run from the dismembered lord, and being in a cage himself, just starts using his pick to break apart the cages.
Okay. And I would think that this would be incredibly loud.
Yeah, he's not being quiet about it. It's very similar.
And so I'm going to say that
rage without actually being a mechanic rage.
Okay. Yeah, you don't really need to. These things aren't aren't greatly sturdy, especially to somebody like you. So I think that you could very easily kind of pry these open wide enough for these 2 to get out. As I said, the one is very, very hurt, obviously, and very dehydrated. If you guys have any water or something, you can try to help him out with that. But the other one seems okay. The son that you believe seems okay.
Mirrodin would kneel down, and he'd use some of his lay on hands on the elf. Probably
Okay.
10 hit points worth.
Okay, I'm sorry, you cut out for me again. What?
He said about 10 hit points worth.
Okay.
And
on the door side?
Yeah. And I imagine Ford would have had a couple extra water skins for his companions. And he would have left just a tiny bit in like one. And start putting it basically in the elf's mouth.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so he starts to kind of come around as you do this. This lay on hands. You see his wounds start to close up. They're not completely closed, but he's definitely feeling better with the lay on hands and the water. And the other guy is staring. He walks over to the opening, which is probably 40, 50 feet of a walk to the other room, and he's staring from this tunnel where you guys just came, where the sarcophagus was. And he looks at it, and he looks at you guys wide-eyed and takes a few steps back, and he says, I don't think we're going to get out of here. And just continues taking slow steps back. Who's going to go check out what he sees?
I would. I'm very much in kind of a weird paranoid state. Like there's something not right at all, and he's very on edge, my guy. Like he's trying to like think of what kind of trickery is going on in this place. But yeah, he'd be alert and probably check out what the elf was looking at.
Okay.
Tag.
Okay.
Dagger.
Go ahead.
Mirrodin would probably call out to Brutag, Dagger, check it.
He kind of like just holds up the dagger, like, "Come on, what's going on?"
And as you get closer to that door, it is gleaming white, like brighter than you have ever seen before. And as you look down that hallway, that same room that you just came out of is full of at least 20 mummies, and they're all looking at you. And you almost think that when you turned your head over, you think you saw one of them smile. Roll for initiative.
I don't think I have enough smites for this.
What's up?
I don't think I have enough smites for this.
Well, what we're going to do, guys, because I'm assuming everybody's going to be fighting, we're going to be doing something that Chris Wilhelm introduced me to called Battlefield DC. Okay, so there are a lot of opponents here. If you roll DC is going to be 15, just a straight D20 roll. If you roll a 13 or above, you describe to me what you do and how you start killing things. It's not a specific spell. It's not a specific weapon. You just describe what your guys does to get through the masses. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. Let's see what we got. So, all right, Connor, you are there first. You are in the tunnel. You can see them. They can see you. What do you want to do?
Finally, this dagger has finally alerted me to danger in a timely fashion. I was like, kind of like hit it against my palm, like, oh, finally this thing works. And I kind of get this grin, this weird grin on my face. It's like more like a smirk, if anything, seeing these hordes of monsters. He would kind of shout back to his other companions, "Ha! Pales in comparison to what I fought back in the day." And he's just got his axe in his one hand, the shield in the other, and he just, starts wading into the fray, not even worried about, his well-being, and just like enjoying the fray of combat once again. Is just gonna start swinging, expertly, but wildly at the same time.
So is he going to go into the other room? Is he going to go through the tunnel and go to the other room?
Well, so how far away were the mummies?
Right now, they're probably about 30 feet from you right now. Yeah. They were 40 or 50. That's why your dagger didn't go off till you got closer.
Yeah, so like they're essentially 30 feet away. So yeah, they're within movement. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of walk up, kind of charging in,
okay.
Kind of like axe up, shield up, charging on my little dwarf, little Dane arthritis legs, and just enter the battle essentially. Yeah.
Okay. Roll me a d20.
Yeah, so this is a whopping 5. So, I'm not able to carry myself nearly as well on these frail, these older legs.
Okay.
I don't have much momentum, so like just a wild swing,
okay,
does nothing to these enemies.
Well, I figure you might hit them, but you're just not chopping them down the way you want to. Liz, what do you want to
do? Probably get up right behind him and sling arrows from afar if I get a good enough roll, right? I rolled a 12.
Okay. So why don't we do this? I will say that every action, okay, here, unless it's really bad, I think that you could probably at least take out one of these things. So we'll just say that one of when you were kind of swinging wildly, Connor, that you chopped down one of them, maybe chopped off a leg or something as they started becoming closer. What I'm going to have you guys do, though, just for the purposes of moving things along, add your attack bonus to your roll.
Oh, so, that's 13 then.
Yeah. So you'll be able to do that.
Actually,
and
no,
Connor,
12 plus 7, right? The full attack bonus, or just
full
attack.
That'd
be plus 7 then.
Yeah. So for now, we'll just do that. That way, it's a little bit easier. So yeah, you describe 7. What you do.
Legless style, just slinging arrows, one after the other, right behind.
And how many do you think you get out in a turn?
Probably only 1 or 2, right? Because I don't think I have that feat to be doing too many at once.
Okay, no problem. So let's just say that you took out 2. We'll say Connor took out 1. Next, we're going to have Jaren. What are you doing?
Well, much like Rutak, he's up close and personal when it comes to fighting. So I imagine he's just going to kind of push past Sahara, maybe nudging her into the wall.
Okay.
And immediately he's going to go into a frenzied rage and just start trying to batter his way through, clearing the path at the best he can.
Okay, give me a roll.
And that will be a 21.
Okay. So I'm going to say, and roll me a 1d4. Roll me a d4.
2.
Okay, so you wind up crushing 2 of these things. Okay. So as you go in this rage, you just wind up taking out 2 of these, just ripping them to pieces. All right. Next, we're going to go to Connor number 2.
So let's see what happens. Not a lot's going to happen.
What'd you roll?
Well, with the roll and all of the modifiers, it's a 10.
You are rolling terrible tonight, brother.
Yeah.
So would you have charged in at least? Would you have been swinging? I mean, what does this look like when you go in and don't do a damn thing?
I probably would have tried to put the elven air onto my shoulder and charge in with my shield forward.
Okay.
Just trying to bash through them, but they seem sturdy. They are sturdier than they seemed.
Okay. Okay. And what I'm going to do, hold on, I got to roll the d4 here real quick. Sorry. All right. So, Liz, one of these guys is actually going to grab you. He's going to kind of just grab you with his fist, and where he grabs you, I'm imagining on like your forearm, you actually feel it. It almost feels like it's burning, like it's an acid or something. And what he's doing, he's actually casting Rotting Fist, and he is going to basically do some necrotic damage to you while he's holding on to you. And that's going to be 8 points of necrotic damage to your arm, just with this kind of searing pain as you do it. That's the only one that kind of can get to you guys right now, but each round they are going to get closer, and more of them will be able to attack. So we're going up to Connor number 1 again.
Yeah, so I'm just in the fray, like swinging and kind of embedding this axe blade into kind of the side of this mummy and kind of ripping it out with, kind of the puff of dust and old bone as it kind of just poofs out. He's kind of gonna like do a kind of a yell, in typical Uldane warrior fashion, to kind of rally his companions. Maybe doesn't actually rally them because they're not used to it. Just one of the standard tactics to keep your morale up in the fight. And he just continues swinging, hacking through. He kind of notices out of the corner of his eye, seeing the big, tall Grimduel dwarf kind of try and shove through these mummies to carrying their rescue. He's gonna try and like hack away the mummies in a way to help carve a path for him.
Okay.
So all that lead up. I'm just gonna roll a die here. Here we go. Nice, a big 23. So I'm just expertly using this axe and is just decapitating one and bringing another one down onto the ground.
Okay, roll me a d4.
Yeah.
To see how many you kill.
4. I got a 4 on my d4.
Well, then you systematically pretty much take them out.
I decapitate 2 that were in a row and just with one swing with this big axe blade.
Awesome. All right, Liz, it's your turn.
Probably gonna. Let's see. Are we still doing the same battle tactics, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you want. I mean, there's a big mob of them, so if you just want to roll to hit, that's fine too. I mean, their AC's 13, so.
Okay, so I rolled a 16. That's good. Probably just take my dagger and stab at the one that's attacking me.
Okay, you're gonna try to cut his arm off or something.
Yeah, do the whole cat growl hiss thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you have charred Black Panther fur and a giant necrotic wound on your arm. That's awesome.
Yeah, lots of scars to be taken back home. Hope my fur grows back.
All right, and we're gonna have
I want to be a Sphinx cat, one of them bald ones.
Okay, I actually have a question here for you, Drake.
42.
Because I'm in a frenzy rage, normally I would get to make an extra weapon attack.
Okay.
But because of how we're doing it, would it just increase the number of I might kill, or do you want me to roll for both attacks?
Roll the d4 twice, and that's how many you can kill as long as you do the DC.
Right. So that will be 17.
Okay. So roll the d4 twice, and then describe what this looks like.
You just see Forge going to town with both his hammer and his war pick, just left, right, almost systematically, like he was working in a mine or a forge, as he chops basically 7 of these down.
Just like a big old like whirlwind of metal, just chopping off limbs and bandages and yeah.
Exactly. Bandages flying off of his war pit.
Okay. So Connor, Number 2. There are 3 mummies left. They're standing in front of you. What would you like to do?
They're directly blocking my path.
They're directly blocking your path.
All right, let's try and charge through them.
Okay.
Oh, yes, finally. It's a 20,
right.
but it's not natural.
Okay. So roll me a d4. See how many you take out, and then describe it for me.
As Mirdan is still trying to just run through with his shield in front of him to get the air out as quickly as possible, he rams the mummy in the middle of the 3 and sends him flying upwards. And he just falls back to the ground right in front of Sahara and crumbles to dust.
Okay. So you just got one of them?
Yep.
Cool. So those other 2 are both going to come at you. And they're both going to try to just they're just going to try to just kind of rake you with their claws. Let me see here. One sec. I'll get a roll here. There we go. All right. What's your AC with the shield?
18.
Okay. Okay. Not a single one of them touches you. Either they hit your armor or they hit your shield. But the 2 that remain are right next to you. Connor, number 1, it's your turn. Try to take these guys out.
And he kind of like yank the axe blade out, kind of hoisting it out of the corpse of one of these mummies, and just brings it up over his head, charging forward, bringing down with all this momentum, smacking down at these mummies. Yeah, I got a crit here, nat 20. So
okay. So just describe how these last 2.
Yeah, as I just bring this axe blade down with this huge momentum, as he's getting back into the mindset, back into the heat of the moment that he remembers, 30 years ago. He's back in the moment, back fighting all those bleak monsters pouring out in the Uldane battlegrounds. And he just bringing down, a flash of memory comes down as he's splitting a skull of one of these monsters. And so it is, he just cuts one of these mummies in half from head to toe with this axe blade strike, and then comes up back again with a kind of a backhand strike, continuing the momentum, and just slashes and dismembers this mummy as well, the last one standing. And kind of in this heaving puff and huff, panting, kind of all the strain of this exertion kind of comes back to him as his bones ache and his muscles tire, and he kind of just stands there, kind of looking up at the Grimdol. There, cleared the path for you. Let's go. And kind of a much slower pace now. Yeah.
And as all of that final one falls, every single one of these mummies that stood before you now crumbles to dust. And slowly you begin to see the sand and the dust from these mummies start to swirl around and around and around, all around that center sarcophagus. And it just gets louder in this roaring, obviously some type of magical whirlwind. And every one of you is blinded by this. Every one of you gets the sand in your eyes and you cannot see a thing. The only thing you hear is that prisoner running. And you can even hear it echoes when he hits the water through the tunnel. And you can just hear him just screaming. Like, I gotta get out. I gotta get out. I gotta get home. And no, don't do that. Somebody help me. And then you just hear as if he was falling. And then silence. And when the sandstorm subsides and you guys are able to see again, all you hear is kind of this low guttural voice echoing through the tomb. Now he will be with me forever. And again, when you're able to see, the only thing that's left is sand. The sarcophagus is gone. The wall behind you is closed. The prisoners are gone. The four of you just remain in the tomb in silence. And that's where we're going to end the one shot, guys.
No. Great game. Thank you.
It's you know, it could have gone a lot of different ways, but it's like 3.5 hours, and I could have added another hour to that one. So
Awesome.
Lots of fun. Thank you.
It definitely been a lot better once you turned off your camera, right?
yeah, I got to figure that again, guys. I had a ton of like audio and a bunch of other things planned, but unfortunately because of my tech problems that didn't happen. So sorry, it kind of got cut short and it wasn't as cool as it should have been. But like I said, it's first time back in 2 months. So thank you guys for playing. We will. I do plan on doing another one shot picking up at the end of this because there's a lot of questions that need to be answered.
Well, yeah, is there like an underground labyrinth we need to escape through, or puzzles, more riddles? Is there a healing spot? I don't know.
Exactly.
Don't worry.
Exactly.
I am the healing spot.
Hopefully,
If you don't get killed first.
too much.
I'm just happy that I got to actually finish a game without my damn thing going bad. But there's always room for part 2 and 3, guys. This is just a teaser. Just a teaser. So.
Definitely was awesome playing with you again, Drake.
Gotta make
Yeah,
it
like I said,
sell the product.
I feel I'm a little bit off of my game. Definitely not my best, but I still had fun doing it. But guys, I have my little one is behind me, saying "Daddy." So I'm gonna go take care of her. But thank you guys for coming up to the game tonight. There's gonna be a lot of stuff coming in the future. I will be continuing this storyline here in the least little bit. And if you guys see that interest post and you want to finish it up over another session or two, just let me know and I will definitely get you in. All right.
You always know I'm interested.
I know. It's
I'm
been like a
always
year.
interested.
You just tell me day and time.
I know.
Yep.
All right, Jaren, Liz, Connor 1, Connor 2, thank you guys so much. Anybody who's watching later, thank you very much for sticking in through the technical difficulties. And this, I'm Drake with the RPG Construct, and see you next time.